So that's taking a lot of my time right now. Yeah, so it's literally like, go around looking for locations. When it's not doing that, obviously just trade. And when I'm not trading, that's where I fit my one-on-ones in, right? So I've got a lot of new students currently, so just getting all the when I'm not trading and when I'm not in my business, and then I just fit the one-on-ones in. Let me get rid of this. That's from a harmonics lesson. So what we're gonna do then is let's go to master list first, and then we'll take it from there. Yeah, so Brian, brother, how you doing? How you doing, Ahmed? Hope you're well, man. Let's get this cracking. Okay, so if we go to master list first, we'll look at Dixie still at the mid, right? Okay, let's skim some of this. No, you already know my thoughts on the Dixie. It hasn't changed from when we were looking at it previously. Honestly, it's like the Dixie's just doing whatever the hell it wants right now, right? Um, I still look at it because it ties into global liquidity, right? Which is something I think is correlated with Bitcoin right now. And actually, do you know what I'd say? Global liquidity, like if you just consider global liquidity on its own as a phenomenon, I think that is way more correlative to Bitcoin right now than the Dixie is, right? So I look at Dixie because it correlates to global liquidity, but what I really want to see is obviously global liquidity going up, right? Global liquidity increasing. Bitcoin has a lag, like a 2 to 3 month lag, basically. I found this cycle where you see global liquidity increasing and then Bitcoin follows. Right, it's not a one-to-one, like I just said, but global liquidity, for example, bottoms out and starts trending up, and then like a couple months later, Bitcoin then plays catch up, right? So that's why I still look at the Dixie, but it's been very decorrelated this cycle. What can I say? Like we've had such a huge drop down in the Dixie, and that hasn't correlated to anything on Bitcoin or anything on risk on assets. Full stop. So yeah, I still look at it because, like I said, this correlates to like global liquidity, but I think USDT dominance, USDT plus USDC dominance, so on and so forth, is a way better chart to look at in terms of a macro indication of should it be risk on or should it be risk off as compared to the Dixie, in my opinion. Right, so if you have to choose between the Dixie and the USDT dominance, so on and so forth, I'll just choose USDT dominance, honestly. Um, but yeah, so USDT dominance at resistance currently we can see is SFPing from yearly levels. So we have our 23, 24, 12-month buy seller zone low. We have a 24, 12-month macro read seller zone mid. So two yearly levels, right? We've SFP'd from that area. If we can get above, right, especially reclaim this area, then you can see we're basically going to run up to a 6.77 to 7% sort of area like we were talking about before. Right? But if you don't SFP here, then this is where I look for that, pull back down on the USDT dominance, right? Perhaps back down towards 4.32%, which is going to correlate with Bitcoin probably going back towards the 90Ks, right? And then from there, if we reject, then maybe we get that drop towards like 70 like everyone's hoping for. But if we do reject her and drop down, then I think we get higher before we go any lower on Bitcoin, so on and so forth, right? But that depends entirely on do we manage to reject and get follow through to the downside, or do we reclaim and get follow through to the upside, right? If you want short-term bullish, you want that, right? That's the next goal you want. And for long-term bullish, of course, you need to go and like lose all of this into resistance and then go lose the entire trend. You guys know, right? The diagonals we look at all the time. If I was to turn them on, not this. Oh dear, I've got so many. Yeah, so there's one, and let me just find it. Oh dear, nope, nope. There. Yeah, this is the chart you guys are used to. 6 month sellers on high, still rejecting off it. So yeah, that drop down there is going to correlate very nicely with that yearly level retest, right? And if you get this and then a rejection, that would lead me to believe maybe we're gearing up to actually get that macro breakdown on USDT dominance, right? But if you don't, and we could just keep doing this, or we do this and do this, then I think yeah, we get those higher targets before we get any lower targets. Okay, so nothing much has changed. We literally sat parked at the key level with the SFP right now below yearlies. This leads me to think risk to reward currently, as it stands, right, as this chart currently stands, risk to reward is to the downside than to the upside on this, i.e. longs compared to shorts, right? Because if you wanted risk to reward to be on long side, you want to get above that level minimum, and then you can look for lower time frame scalps to this level and then to this level, and then if you break out higher, right? But if you don't, and you keep staying under, then obviously you're saying this level is rejecting you, then risk to reward would favor the downside. So that's why I'm saying over here currently, risk to reward is favoring downside moves, i.e. bullishness in your traditional moves. Right? Remember, this is not x equals y, this is x equals 1 over y. It's an inverse correlation. Okay. So we have down USDT dominance, USDT plus USDC dominance between the 764786, right? Between this, again, trying to reclaim. As long as we stay underneath the grey box, we could very well put in some sort of distributive structure, inverted smiley, that takes us back to the lows, right? But if you now go and flip this into support, what you're saying is the diagonal that was one support, right, is being flipped back into support. That would send you, in my opinion, back up towards, like, 10 to 11% on this even, right? If you got something like this. So let's hope that doesn't happen if you want bullishness short term, right? Again, we need this rejection, because remember, with a dominance when it comes to stable coins, it's an inverse relationship. Okay. BTC dominance. Let's take a look at this, and I prefer to look at this on this chart. Bitcoin dominance is above that key level we were talking about. So you've managed to close a weekly above, firstly, your 61.11%, and then we looked at that last week, and now this week, last week, sorry, we closed above the box as well. What's the box? On the monthly is the area where sellers were in control before you made this new impulse up. Right, so like I was saying, if you manage to stay above 61.11%, ultimately your target is going to be 62.62% next, okay, on the lower time frame. This is going to be your next target. If this flips, then you have this, and if that flips, ultimately I'm looking around the 1.618 of the ABCD, right? So we know that we have a 618 over here. So then I'll be looking for the reciprocal ratio, which is the 1.618, lining up with the mid of the 2-week fair value gap. Right? Again, if you go to the 2 weeks, again, the box isn't random either. That is your 2-week fair value gap, right? Right there. So all's playing out like we've been talking about on Bitcoin dominance. Is just taking its time. Right? Again, we're not surprised. We're not getting just God candle straight away, right? We don't have that volatility yet. It can take some time. It could happen in a day. It just depends on how much volatility comes in, and what do the market makers do. That's it. We just give ourselves key levels and be patient until actionable price action comes in at those key levels, right? That's it. So anyway, as long as you're above this box, again, risk to reward is favoring moves up on Bitcoin dominance. Okay. Like that. If you were to break below and lose this, for example, then risk to reward would be favoring moves down, right? So you just look at what's favorable, where can I manage my risk easy, and that's the bet you're going to take if you're a trader, especially. Okay. Ethereum dominance, absolutely shoddy, because the 886 we were waiting for has hit, but you just closed completely underneath it. No initial reaction of the 886 whatsoever, and that's not what you want to see, right? It'd be great if you got at least some sort of initial reaction of the 886. You've just gone and just closed below. So now let's hope we don't go up and backtest the 886 as just big fat resistance, because if that were to happen, this could go, and literally, I'm not joking when I say ETH dominance could go and put a new low in. Okay, if this 86 is turned into resistance, ETH dominance could go and put a new low in, because below this 886, if you take a look to the left, right, the only other key area you probably have is the lows, right? And Ethereum, the second biggest market cap when it comes to crypto, putting in a lower low, right, is absolutely ridiculous. It's just nonsense. It's so weak, right? So what you want to see here is, you want to see some sort of basing to come in, right? Some sort of chop, some sort of price action indicating that accumulation is going on, break above, retest, anything like this, smiley face, whatever, right? Just indications that sellers are trying to take control, but buyers aren't letting them. If you get that around this 886, then you have a very good reason to believe that Ethereum might be bottomed out, right? Because then ETH dominance has nowhere to go but to the upside. And if the dominance of Ethereum increases, what does that mean? It means the liquidity locked in Ethereum as compared to the crypto total market cap is increasing, right? So people are either fleeing into Ethereum, or people are just straight up buying Ethereum. But whatever the case, Ethereum is going to be retaining its value. It's going to be getting a bigger share of the cake. It's going to get a bigger slice, basically. And that's going to correlate with Ethereum going up, and that's what we want if you also want your alt season, right? So let's hope we bottom out somewhere around here for ETH dominance, because this bat is very, very nice. The area is also very, very nice. If you manage to close the monthly, so on and so forth, above with a wick, does not matter, right? We just don't want to lose this on the higher time frame and just completely lose all structure. Right now, there's no trend with us, nothing's with us. It's just been insane selling pressure, so we need signs of a bottom. There's no point jumping in here blindly now, right? Let's see what happens on ETH dominance. So let's take a look real quick. Yeah, some nice buying pressure coming in. Okay, not really happening at a key area though, so I'm not interested. Okay, so total one next, right? We are maintaining 2021 12-month seller zone mid, 2.61 trillion or 2.6 trillion, basically, like we were talking about. The very, very important area to hold, right? In fact, let me turn some of this off. One sec. Right, this ABCD is no longer needed, so I'm going to turn that off. That ABCD for now is fine, even though, yeah, no, that's fine. So again, if this is the bottom 1.618 target taking you towards 4.5 trillion, that ABCD there is also fine. Again, if that is the bottom 382 taking you maximum 3.618, but for now 2.24 is right over here, right, wherever the line is basically. We also have, of course, the deep crab still, right, XABC. The D of the deep crab is taking us back. Another confluence lining up with the ABCD is taking us to this box, which is a golden pocket if you use trend-based extensions, right? So we have both Fib retracements and trend-based extensions, wave structure lining up in this area, high confluence. What else do we have, right? So we know this is a very important level now. We need to get this flipped into support, right? These pre-projected ABCDs. So for all we know, we've got a new range in the making right here. And again, this is very simple if you look at it, right? Because now on the macro, what is this telling us? It's telling us that risk to reward is with you above this level, especially, right? Above that yearly mid. Risk to reward is with you to the upside rather than to the downside, right? As long as you're above this, total one you're looking to increase. Even if it's just a minute increase from 2.66 to 2.99 trillion, it's a move up nonetheless. And if you flip that back into support, then you have this, and above that again, new highs. Right? So on the macro scale, if you now zoom out and take a look, what you're saying is, okay, so USDT dominance is sat at resistance and moves down on that. We know is going to be green for the market. At the same time, total one is sat at the mid of an area on the yearly where before it was straight resistance, sellers were in control. Now buyers are clearly demonstrating control. Right, you've hit important retracements. We know there's a 618 that's been hit. We know there's a 382 that's been hit. Right, we've hit important retracements. Therefore, this is not somewhere you should be overly bearish. Okay, I know I said this the last week and the week before as well, but especially if you're trying to look at, okay, let's try and cast some lower time frame to higher time frame mindset, scalp to swing mindset trades. Even if you're a trader, right, this isn't the place to be bearish. Okay, you have a lot of factors. Yes, yeah, we could go down. We definitely could. We could go and visit 2.19 trillion, but as long as price action is telling me buyers are defending 2.6 trillion, my bias is going to be to the upside. Now the upside could take us to a bearish back test of 3.01 trillion, and that could give us a deeper pullback. That's fine, right? But if that happens, you can just hedge a short way higher than current prices. So no matter how you try to spin it, this is not the place to be overly bearish, right? If you're going to try and if you're not open any shorts and you're literally thinking now, or maybe I should capitulate to open shorts, you can wait for this to happen. If you've been patient enough to literally try and open shorts at the lows, you can be a bit more patient to actually at least confirm that this support is now resistance. Right? If it isn't and it holds, you're going to go higher. Now again, there's no necessary going higher doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go and put the new high in, right? You could bearishly backtest this before giving one more drive down and then go up, right? That could happen. Or you could bearishly backtest and kill the cycle. Who knows? We can't say for certain, right? But what I do know for a fact is if you look at the screen right now, price action in terms of risk to reward is not going to be on the short side. Not at all, right? It's definitely on the side of the longs, okay? You can't convince me otherwise. This is on the side of the longs right now. And if you have differing viewpoints, I'm more than happy to hear you out, more than happy to see your perspective. And, but I don't see it based on my system, based on the way I look at the markets, based on the way I analyze price action, right? I don't see it, right? This is the areas where it's very, very easy to manage longs, manage spot positions, right? Not, you're looking to capitulate or sell here, open swing shorts. Now's not the time, okay? It's just a heads up, in my opinion. So that's total one. Total two, front ran 2022 12-month seller zone mid, so 912 billion. Like we were saying, we're not surprised this happened, right? We said, okay, if you do hold the mid, expect your next target to be basically this area right here. We just about front ran it. Again, if the mid gets defended, total two also, we could very easily go and do a bearish back test on the weekly of this level before getting the range lows. Right? So yeah, you might still get more moves down, but it might happen after you get one more grab up to the upside. Right? And then you might go down after a bearish back test, one more drive down before going higher, putting in weekly bullish divs or something like this, right? But again, even in terms of total two, above the mid, right? Above the mid, biases to the upside, not to the downside. Okay, like look, you had a chance to get below the mid, and yes, you went below, but by the time the weekly closed, buyers defended. Bias defended, that's it. So now again, your bias is going to be to the upside until you see a breakdown retest of the mid again, and then your bias can be to the downside, right? This level. And then if you lose that, then the rate of the lows of this range. But as long as you're up this level, again, bias is to the upside. Okay, very simple. Total three. Again, mitigated. The only thing you're using as resistance right now is the mitigated order block, right, from 2022 mid back as resistance. But again, your fair value gap mid, bullish fair value gap, support, right? You attempted to get below all of this, right? Support. So in this particular area now for total 3, based on where you are, I'd say this is a no trade zone, okay? Just a total 3 chart itself does not mean don't get into alts. It just means that you're not going to go all in into alts, okay? Because yes, you could reject her and go lower. Yes, you could flip and go higher. You're literally right at the mid, using the mid as resistance, right? So currently there is nothing to be gleaned from looking at the total 3 chart. From the way I look at this again, anyway, that makes this either bullish or bearish. You're smack bang in the middle of this entire zone, right? So I'd wait for some sort of clean break, and then if you manage to flip that mid into support again, then maybe we get one more drive higher before putting a higher in or something like this. But currently, if you look at just solely at the total 3 chart, I wouldn't be doing anything with this until you got a bit more clarity. Again, this does not mean don't get into alts, right? Get into alts, just don't go all in, right? Just account for the fact you didn't enter exactly at the lows or something like this, right? Others holding, look, returning what was once support into resistance, right, at the end of the day now. We need to reclaim to be bullish on others right over here. Right, keep to others market cap. So again, as long as, you know, if you're someone who wants more clarity before entering, you can wait for this, okay, before you enter. If you're someone that has a DCA strategy, this is why I say don't go all in. You guys know my personal strategy, 20-40-40, with the ratios being changed, dependent on how far away your invalidation is when you're opening a CMP price, right? So, you know, let's say you go to open a spot position or a swing long position, and you see my stops is literally 3% away. My invalidation is so close. You're going to increase your CMP entry, right? You're going to make it more than 20%. You can afford to risk more if your invalidation is super close, right? And then you lower this appropriately. If your invalidation is now 25-30%, then 20-25-30% max, something like that for CMP entry, because you have a way bigger range to try and account for, right? That's basically my entry strategy right there. Some free alpha for you guys. But, you know, use the 20-40-40, use use whatever entry strategy you want to not go all in, but at least have exposure. Start building exposure so you can size up in the future, right? You're not going to be scrambling for positions if you already have an average from lower that you can then size up on, right? You at least have a foundation to build upon. So it's completely up to you, because at the end of the day, look, we're hitting 786s, right? We're hitting 786s. 786s are being defended. We're hitting, like, very close to hitting 886s. Like, we might get one more drive down for the 886, but 786 has been hit, right? It's been raided and it's been held, right? There's a 786, 1.272. So again, if that's the bottom, we can't be surprised if we do go towards 516 billion on the macro, right? Now, of course, there's work that needs to be done. Right, we need to, like I said, go and reclaim this into support at a minimum, right? Something like this would be great. But should we now go and do that, then you have, okay, 786 been hit, and then you've reclaimed important resistance back into support, right? Then you'd be looking for those higher targets, right? So that's others. Basically, you know, still be a bit defensive, but definitely don't be a pussy, basically, right? Like, if you got coins, you know, you want in your port, and you see them at areas like, you know, they've dropped 80, 90, 70%, it doesn't hurt to slurp some. Okay, that's all I mean. Total DeFi, treating the box as resistance for now, right? Treating what was once support as resistance as well. So we could see a breakdown for sure. But again, you know, that 618 is still being defended, right? At the end of the day, it's still being defended. So that's still a target, right? That's still a target. Furthermore, if we do this now from, one sec, let me just take a look. I think we have hit a deeper M shape, if I'm not mistaken. There we go, perfect, right? So you now have hit your bats, right? This is now your macro bats on, or not macro, but from your last external swing pivot. This is a bat, right? So again, you have a completed M shape. 886 is being hit across the board, okay? There's your M shape. So again, total DeFi, 618 retracement from your low to your high, right? That's a 618, followed by a 886, right? Which is holding. So again, like, you know, what does this mean? DeFi projects wouldn't hurt to get some. One very good example of this is Cetus, which you look at, right? It does hit a macro 886 as well. So again, if you get a reaction on both total DeFi, because it hit 886, but also on the base coin that's underneath this umbrella term, right, of DeFi, like Cetus, which we also know has hit macro 886s, we can't be surprised, even if it's just a relief bounce for now, we can't be surprised if we do get 10, 15, 20, 30% on leverage gains before we roll over again, right? And for some people, if you're a full bear, you might be like, it's only 30%, but you can make a lot of money with even a 10% move if you know what you're doing. Okay, so it's not something to be scoffed at whatsoever. That's the whole point of being traders. We're trying to capitalize on the moves, right? But yeah, Total DeFi looks fantastic, right? It looks absolutely fantastic. Others, and like I've been saying, for others, it's very easy, right? As long as you're holding this zone, you have a reason to at least hold on to your alts to try and build some more positions, right? Below this, closes below, you look like you're losing this cut, right? I've said this for many months now. Said this last time we were here in September as well. But yeah, look, it's still not lost. Think about all the bearishness, all the red, all the flush outs you've seen. Not a single candle body close below on the weekly. Look, wicks sure, but not a single candle body close below that key level, right? That bat 86 2.618, that raid you had was literally a butterfly 786 1 point, it was an exact 1.272, but very very close, right? Very very close. um and we know overall there's also a Gartley here. It's a fantastic area, right? Look, you start closing below, just cut your rolls, because like I said, there's a high chance you could drop into the mids if that were to happen, but you just haven't turned this into proper resistance yet. I just don't see it. I'd want to see something clean, not just these little wicks. So even if you look at others, it's good, right? So total 3 against BTC still looks good, still looks very very good. Your reactive zone still above it, right? Look, you're putting higher highs and higher lows in locally, right? Locally, that's still lower highs and lower lows overall, but locally that's higher highs and higher lows. Let's see if we can get some follow through to actually the upside, right? We know a 618 1.618 has been hit. We know an 886 has been hit, right? The PRZ between the 2.618 and the 0.886. We rated it with the ABCD. We confirmed it once. We confirmed it twice, right? And now you put a higher low in. Above this box, ultimately, it's not just the wave structure, is the fact. Where is it happening? Very reactive zone, right? Look, resistance, resistance, support, support, resistance, support, resistance, support, right? So if this holds support, 5.5 next, 7.3 after, 1.03 after that. Very simple. And again, this is total 3 against Bitcoin. So what is this going to be showing you? If this looks like it's ready to go up, that simply means that total 3 as a ticker looks ready to outperform Bitcoin. And if total 3 looks ready to outperform Bitcoin, what does that mean? It means that it looks ready that total 3 is going to start catching the liquidity rotations, i.e. your alts are going to be catching some green candles, right? So let me just do this. In fact, we have a breakout and a retest on the weekly of your supply line, right? We have it clean as day right over here. One, let's go to that. Two, right? There's your breakout. Yeah, you're above it. So above this, you have reason to target like 0.55, this sort of area, right? This external, you've got reason to target that basically. So we can't be surprised if that were to happen. Bitcoin against gold just keeps dropping, but that's because gold's just on a mad one, right? It's what it is. Once this does hit important support now, that's going to be another confluence we can look at. Maybe profit taken from gold rotates into Bitcoin, right? That's where we say Bitcoin looks ready to start performing gold, so on and so forth. And finally, actually, we don't need to talk about this. Bitcoin against US money supply. We don't need to talk about that right now. But yeah, so that's all the macro majors, right? So we know we filled this. We've completely filled this CME gap around the weekly on BTC. That's now fully filled. Do we have any other CME gaps we filled as well? No, that's the CME gap we filled. There is no. I don't see any CME gaps. That CME gap's been filled. Yeah, that's been filled. I don't see any other that could act as a target right now as we speak, to be honest. What about the hourly? Anything? Like tiny ones, right? Tiny hourly CME gap above us. I'm not going to take those seriously. I want big ones that could actually give us structure breaks. Anything on the left? No. Okay, so yeah, CME gap to the downside, that's been filled completely, right? The CME gap to the downside has been filled fully. So I would love to get back above this CME gap, right? Treat what was once this daily CME gap, or rather 4-hour CME gap, let's say. What was once resistance here, I flipped it into support, right? I love that. But locally speaking here, it's like, you're at important levels, right? And you've filled your target that you need to fill. You're just waiting for that impulse up. That's it. On Bitcoin CME. And I think Ethereum has a big CME above. Yeah, CME at 3K, literally. Big fat one waiting to get filled. That's going to add more than $1,000 to Ethereum. Okay, that is going to add more, even from where we currently are. That is going to be a 60% increase in price on the second highest crypto market cap coin. Don't take that lightly, okay? Some of the opportunities that we do have. So, yeah. Hopefully that gets filled sometime soon. We have another one by the looks of things over here. So the CME gap is here. That's your original. How much has been filled? The amount that's been filled is this much, so that's your remaining CME gap. So you've got 2 CME gaps above us on Ethereum. Minimum 36% increase, like I said, right? Beautiful. Maybe you go tag the point of control before you go higher. Who knows, right? But you're at the golden pocket right now, and we'll look at that proper ETH chart in a minute. Just looking at CME for now to show you the confluence. But we have liquidity rates higher on Ethereum now. Okay. Let's take a look. Yeah, see any buying right now is just being instantly sold off. There's so much selling pressure. You can see aggressive selling, right? 32 sells, 24 buys, 52 sells versus 1 buy, bro. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. 46 versus 28, 47 versus 7, 76 versus 34. Yeah, sellers are vastly outweighing the buys right now. Just want to see them get absorbed, really, if you want to go long. But okay, that's Ethereum. So, do you guys have any questions on this before I move on? Your sub concludes, bro. How you doing, brother? Sub Rohan, how you doing, bro? Visuals. Your sub Caleb. Hope you're good, man. War news. I think screw war news, bro. Screw news in general. Honestly, just trade the charts. It'll make your life so much easier. Literally, just trade the charts. Screw news, bro. There's a news every day, brother. There's news every day. Yeah, just whatever, you know. You're gonna know beforehand anyway. Like more time, you know, if some buried news is gonna come in, then you probably have distributive structure already coming in. Like 99% of the time, that's the case, right? You're struggling below resistance. If you have bullish news come in, you've been building out support for a while, right? It's literally what happens. So just trade RR on charts, you'll be completely fine. News, is what it is. There's gonna be new news every day. So yeah, okay, let's take a look back at this for now, and let's move on. Okay, so focus, and then let's take a look at Bitcoin first, and then let's move on. So BTC, right? This is what I put in my own group yesterday night. Black is for longs, white is for shorts, and I don't even know if we're gonna go back up here for that. White, we've broken down and rejected off the very obvious trend line for now, right? Now, why do I have this over here as my resistance? Simply because that's a daily fair value gap, and this is something called an expansion fair value gap, right? That was it. Actually, this is the expansion fair value gap. No, it's not. This is an expansion fair value gap. The most powerful forms of fair value gaps are the expansion ones. This is an expansion, but it's a fair value gap nonetheless, right? It's the second most powerful type, the retracement fair value gap. So, as long as this is resistance, obviously we can see very clearly we're not going to go higher, right? So as long as if you're breaking down from this, we could expect a quick rate of liquidity before we go and then perhaps climb on higher. If we do go and reclaim that white box, I'd be looking for moves back up, basically towards 90k, right? What do I really want? A back test of that 90k area, right? Back up over here. So why do I want that? Because obviously now, if you can reclaim that zone, great. It's we've reclaimed that important area. Yeah, that 93, 90k area, this zone basically, right, between 89 to 93, I want to see that area be reclaimed if you want to go back higher, right? If not, and you now get a weekly lower high in that area, what you've said is, yes, this consolidation zone is now resistance and the breakdown is valid. I think if you do get a pump up before down and you want 70k or lower Bitcoin, you want that rejection first. Get it out the way, right? So let's see. But of course, we need to be above this for that to happen. Let me turn some of this off because you're not going to know what the dots are. So let's do that. What else do I need to turn off? Just turn that off for now. These I can live on because they're all significant levels on our screen. Apart from that, a few more perspectives. I put this on my... let me just do this. No, not that. Let me do this. Yeah. Make that invisible. So, there. The macro perspective I'm going to give you guys have seen this. I put it in my channel already. Right, so I'm going to turn the yearly buy levels on, and then I'm going to turn on these. Okay, so one perspective that I'm looking at, right? Diagonals. The reason I said, be very careful until this gets reclaimed is obviously now because if you look at, people think there's no historical context in this area, price is random. It's really not, right? Price is not random whatsoever. And that's the power of diagonals, right? Even though there is no historical context there in terms of horizontals, in terms of diagonals, there very much was. So if I was to turn this off, just as a quick explanation of what I mean. Oh wait, not this. Sorry, this down here, yeah. right? For example, we have a completely valid 5-speed resistance found from somewhere in the previous cycle here. Yes, horizontally you had no levels here, especially when it first came up, right? But now if you take a look diagonally, you had the golden pocket, liquidity rate of the golden pocket, support in the past, support turned to resistance, right? Anytime this turned to resistance, you would go down to 6.6 first, and then the liquidity rate, right? So you have a whole zone where you have historical price action. So is it a surprise then, if you look at what Bitcoin did? Even though you have no horizontal levels, people think, this is just random, nothing's happening. It's not. You had historical context if you think about it in terms of trend and diagonals, right? What was once support turned to resistance, which is what gave us that initial move down. And then you reclaimed the said resistance back into support, which sent you back higher. And then you accepted within the next range, right? The what was once resistance, you closed above. That took you back. What happens every time, historically, look, anytime you use the support, what happens? You went straight to the golden pocket, 66618. So as soon as you closed above the liquidity rate, you went to the golden pocket, 66618. You put daily bearish divergence in. Aggressive buying came in, right? So if I turn this on, look, all of these is telling you there's loads of aggressive market longs opening up. There's a load of aggressive buys, but now they're not being rewarded. Those aggressive buys keep SFPing off a key area, right? And on top of that happening, we have 2024 yearly levels also being created. So then we have yearly levels to work around. So by the time this top came in, we had a yearly level to work around, right? We SFP'd a yearly level as well on the retest. As soon as the new year opened, that's not a bullish sign, right? We have fibs in here. And most importantly, the other thing I pointed out for this particular area was, of course, if I was to turn this off, the other thing I pointed out was, if you were to turn on, right, if you were to turn on your wave structures in this area, right, so group 3, I need group 3, where is it? I think it's group 3, let me find it, no, group 13, nope, let me find it, I've got too many groups, not 12, not 9, not 8, group 7, sorry, yeah. We also have wave structures lining up in this area, right? The 2.618, the 2.24 of the ABCD. So we have fibs in terms of wave structures. We have market structure in terms of wave structures. We have fibs in terms of trend-based extensions, fib retracements, extensions, right? Fibs in terms of diagonals. We have, like I said, completed wave structures, right? And then you see all that going on. We can't say we had no historical context there. There was no historical context if you only think in terms of straight horizontal lines. If you now incorporate other axes and other planes of thought into that, such as diagonals, trends, gradients, you had historical context here, right? Which is the exact very reason I'm saying until this gets reclaimed, nothing's going to happen, right? Because like I said, anytime this has been lost in the past, you've had moves down. So we wouldn't be surprised if we did get 68, 65k Bitcoin if we cannot get above this level. Right now, for this, we have till August, to be honest. So if we were to, chop around, we could have a late bull market, right? So if we do, turn into resistance and then go down and only tap this by, let's say, June, July, then we could have, basically last quarter be bullish. And we just chop and go a bit lower till then. That is very much a possibility I feel many people aren't considering. People are either thinking we need to drop or we need to go up. What about if we just chop for the next few months still? Very, very delayed, right? It could happen, right? In terms of trends, it's very possible. So, that's the reason I had this and I shared. So just in case people were confused, because a few people put the confused emoji on, I'm just trying to explain why I showed that here. Right? We had historical context there. Do not get it twisted, right? It's only if you don't know how to use diagonals that you realize, you don't have anything. If you know how to use diagonals and so on and so forth. And more, of course, the important things here are the actual ratios itself, right? Like I said, I've got my own ratios, I've got my own system. According to my system, we had a historical context. That's literally why we topped out here, and that's why we top in our here as well, right? More than that, of course, if you now take a look at, it's not just this, right? If not just this, the reason why we're bouncing here now, the last macro completed wave structure, the reason we're bouncing is the 618. Okay, the 618 has been hit. Of course, for the golden pocket now, it's free game to drop all the way down to the 702-707 liquidity rate, right? But as long as we're holding above this now, don't get it twisted, we are going to be driving up, right? So we have a clear zone basically. As we speak right now, you have this diagonal zone. That's going to be a chop range, right? If you get a very clear rejection from here, then I'll be looking for that next weight down. Versus if you're going to flip this into support, then you're looking for these targets to get hit, right? But until then, as long as you're staying in between this, Bitcoin's just going to keep chopping. It's just the reality of things, okay? It's going to keep chopping. You need a break out of this range. And last but not least, if you also consider the downtrending your macro now bear market, right? This is your bear market first speed resistance fan. Again, we had a reason why did we top out where we did. Your 236214 level was right over here. Right, why did we use this as support? Your 13114, your front run of your range extreme in this case, right? This is your front run of your range extreme in my system. You're currently in the front run of your range extreme. If you hold this, there's no guarantee we go down to this level. Okay, so if you do this, very, very bullish. I'd be looking for higher. Okay. So the reason I'm showing you all this is, learn to incorporate diagonals into your trading system, right? It's very, very powerful. So you put them together and we have, basically you can use geometry to your advantage. As long as you are within this particular segment of the chart, you're not doing anything. You're going to be chopping, right? You want to lose this segment. If you lose this segment, then the next obvious segment will be somewhere down over here, right? However, if you get above this segment, then you have a lot of room for growth, a lot, right? And you could grind up over time, but geometry-wise, you've got advantages of doing so. So the question is, do we do this? Ultimately, this is what you're looking for in the higher time frame, okay? Do we do this? Or do we do something like this and then find next intersection lower before we go higher? Right? And if you're bullish, if you want to be bullish, you want no more really downside, you want to go up as soon as possible, that's the scenario you're looking after. Okay, that's it, simple as that. Reclaim your horizontals and your diagonals, go up. And again, time frame for that is June, July, even August, right? You've got time. That's what I'm saying, don't rush into anything. Take time building out your long-term bags. Okay, I don't care if you have to buy slightly higher. I promise you, once you let the greed, once you let go of the greed and the ego, you realize it's, in fact, 99% of the time, it's much better for your psyche if you wait for that high low, for that one trend shift before you fully allocate. Okay, it's going to be much easier. You don't have to go all in, right? That's a myth. Especially for spot, right? Having to one clipping everything exactly at the lows. Yeah, cool if you can do it, right? I'm not saying it's not possible to do it. I've done it before, right? But is it the optimum way to trade over an elongated period of time? No. If you want to make your trading relatively stress-free, that's not the way to do things, right? Save all that for the lower time frame trading, for the scalping, right? So on and so forth. For spot, especially higher time frame bags, you just focus on the macro. And yeah, that's it for Bitcoin. Literally, I can explain this in terms of diagonals, right? I thought I'd give you guys a different perspective because everyone's going to be talking to you about horizontals. So I thought let's give it a different spin today, right? Now, in terms of historical context, again, we have that 88k, 89k area, right? So again, if you do have a pull up and we turn that into resistance, then I'm expecting a move down. I think we could go down as low as 62k, right? Even if we do, we just got to put a higher low in. We're going to go higher, in my opinion. Okay, we just cannot turn this key inflection area into resistance. Right? Ultimately, you do not want to lose 68k, right? Previous all-time highs, this zone, you do not want to turn this into resistance. You want that to be support, because then you're going to see what was once resistance, right? What was once resistance is going to be support. An area where sellers were in control over the buyers, sellers were in control over the buyers, is going to be an area where buyers are going to be in control over the sellers. And I read someone say, you think Bitcoin's completely topped out. I would have to disagree with that for now, brother. I think it was Forcati who said that. I don't see enough signs yet to warrant saying, 100% we've topped out for the cycle. Right? I think we can definitely go higher. The question is, are we topped out? Is the cycle going to? Are we going to make a new height, straight away, or is it going to take some time? Right? That's it. But if we don't go and lose this, and if as long as we're on the higher time frame, maintain above this, ultimately I'll be looking for higher prices, personally speaking, for Bitcoin. Because you've got to think about it with a higher time frame perspective, right? For Cartier. The reason I'm saying this, brother, is because if you think about it, let me explain my reasoning. You have an area here where we currently are, right? Yes, you lost this range, but that's nothing. If you think about it, look at the 12 months. Okay, if you were to look at this on the 12 months, in fact, let me open up a fresh chart, right? 12 months. What do you see, right? The reason I'm saying this is, if you look previous cycle, right? Previous bull market top was over here. Right, and basically the areas I've marked out here, all I'm saying is I've marked out the important areas in terms of where sellers were in complete control. If you look at the yearly, sellers were in complete control previous time over here. I.e., sellers gave you no room to breathe on the higher time frame. On the 12 months, buyers had no shot here. Right? But is that the case now? No, because look, you've closed above all of that. Right? So this area where you have, again, sellers in control over the buyers, supply greater than demand, you're completely above it. Right, you're completely above it. So even if we get a pull down, okay, even if you drop down to 57k, if you can hold this as support, ultimately what you're going to be saying is, right, buyers are now in control of the sellers and demand is greater than supply at an area where the opposite was the case the last time we were here, right? i.e. an area where sellers will want to control, is now an area where buyers are in control. Now you tell me, is that something bullish or bearish, right? Because that is obviously bullish, right? If you're literally saying, look, buyers had no say in this area before, and now the opposite is true. Sellers have no say in this area, right? If this holds, so that's clear narrative flip happening in front of your eyes, right? And then you'll be looking for higher prices. Right, so if we did bounce from here, obviously I've shown you in terms of diagonals why we could go higher, but ultimately I do want that flush out. Okay, I do want that flush out. 65k, 62, hell, 57. I don't care. Everyone's waiting for 73, so that it makes sense. Either we just send it from here because everyone's going to be sidelined, right? If you're not already building bags at least, right? That's what I'm saying. Layer in. Everyone's going to be sidelined, or that's going to be the biggest front run ever, or everyone waiting with 73 is going to get blown out because they don't expect a slightly deeper drop. They think it's bearish, but on the higher time frame, we can hold this and reclaim. There is nothing bearish about that whatsoever. Okay, I will remind you, the exact same thing happened over here. Okay, look, that was an area where sellers were in control. You broke out, you gave the retest. That retest is what sent you to this current bull market. Okay, so just that retest is what I'm eyeing for right now. And if the retest fails, then it's what it is, right? We're already in, I've already given short entries when this happened, right? We were talking about how, okay, we see distribution coming in up here. So, if you guys have been watching my streams, my videos, we should already be in some hedges anyway. Hedge Solana, hedge BTC, hedge Trump, so on and so forth, right? All these hedge shorts. So I don't care if you go lower, but what I do care about is on the macro, we want to see these areas now being high lows, being flipped into support, right? That's it. That's the test that hasn't happened yet. So if we go and fail that, right, then it's like, it's easy to think, oh, it's all over, but it's not, because if you fail that, then you're dropping all the way to 38, in my opinion, right? You're going to rate 38, and that is still going to be, from this area, like a 44% drop, right? There'll be plenty of trades to take even here, even if you're not hedged, right? If you're sidelined right now, right, you can easily manage your risk on longs, so on and so forth. So what we want to see on the macro is this area holding. That's my current thesis as to why I'm saying I don't think we've topped out yet. Right? At the end of the day, look, structure is with us on the higher time frame. Right? Yes, we might have lost this local structure, but what is that structure on the 6 months? It's nothing. What is that structure on the yearly? It's absolutely nothing. What is that structure on the 4 months? It's absolutely nothing. Triennial, nothing. Biannual, nothing. Even the quarterly, nothing. You look at the 3 months and you told me this looks bullish, right? And the 3 month closes in 13 days, by the way. Sorry, this looks bearish. It doesn't, right? It doesn't look bearish whatsoever. That's why it's important to take all perspectives into account. Yes, lower time frame, I completely agree. We could flush a bit lower, right? Even on the higher time frame, we haven't hit our horizontal targets yet, right? But we don't need to, right? TA doesn't need to be perfect. Like if they decide, let's front run everyone and send it, is that's what's going to happen, right? So just a different perspective I thought I'd put in to try and see that. Yeah, diagonals are very, very good. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so that's Bitcoin, right? Like I said, lower time frame wise, if you do get that pump up and you get that lower high, and you're not in any, hopefully you guys already hedged in shorts, but if you're not in any shorts, then that'd be a very good opportunity to take advantage of any weakness here to ride lower. Otherwise, if you do reclaim this, right, that this is literally just going to be a high time frame deviation, and I think we push higher. But let's see what happens, right? No one knows at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how many lines you have. Like, the market could say, like, screw all that and just go to a random area. So that is BTC. In terms of fibs, in terms of diagonals, in terms of horizontals, like key ranges, so on and so forth. So let's look at Ethereum next. ETH USDT. Right, Ethereum at the 707, coinciding with the 6 month buy seller zone mid. Now, we might bounce from here, that's great, but below this level, you guys know my thoughts. Until we can reclaim this, it's going to be scalp to swing mindsets. Okay, if you're going to enter any sort of ETH long over here, do it with the lower time frame perspective, and you're going to take profits on that if you see sellers stepping in here. Okay, because what was once important support, resistance, support, we're below it. Just because we've hit a 6 month level doesn't mean we need to bounce, right? I'm more than happy to see a drop towards 1,500, right? 1,400 even. We have this on Ethereum. Historical price range 2 is literally being turned to resistance. If that's the case, we can't be surprised, right? If we do get drops down to even 1,400, possible. Okay, very, very possible. So locally speaking, what you're looking for is on the weekly, if you do get any sort of pullback, right, before we go lower, there's your weekly buy zone from last week. Okay. If you do get any sort of pullbacks back towards 1822 or anything like this, right, and then you see buyers stepping in, scalp to swing mindset longs. Okay, because we have an area where buyers have stepped in on the weekly. So if buyers are stepping in again, we go on the side that's shown strength here, which is the buyers. If you don't get that pullback to 1822 sort of area, and you get a flip of this instead, HBR2 mid, basically around 1954, whatever that is, right? Flip of this area. That is your next area to long. Okay, if you flip that, you long that to try and catch this towards, like I said, this 2K area, right? That's going to be, the hell? Hang on. That's going to be this area right here, right? So around 2100 to 2200, you're going to try and catch that long towards this area, basically. If you flip that into support, that is when we can say, okay, we might then be able to, okay, we've deviated, taken the lows out, let's go take out the highs next. Maybe basically let's go rate the all-time highs, right? That's the kind of thing you'd be looking for. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, below this, Ethereum wouldn't be surprised if it went lower, honestly. So seriously, that doesn't mean, like I said, go short, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. Risk reward isn't with you. I'm saying if you get the opportunity to do so, either that or that, look for that lower time frame scalp to swing mindset entry for longs, right? And if you turn this to resistance, for example, you start turning 1822 to resistance, look for scalp to swing mindset shorts down to this level, right? That's it. Or even you go and you've already had one rejection off here, but if you try and push this once more, you're trying to put lower time frame structure in, right? You can see like, you know, rejection. You try to push up once more, you try to put lower time frame structure, you raid it, but then you see the raid failed and you turn to resistance again, you can try and short there as well, right? So it literally just read price action at key areas. You know, you can literally boil trading down to those two simple sentences. Read price action at significant areas. That's it. That's all you need to learn to do. If you can do that, you can give yourself an edge. That's it. Okay. But that's Ethereum. Very, very weak. Don't get it twisted. Very, very weak right now. 707's been hit. So again, you know, if this holds, you do have a potential macro butterfly taking you to the upside. This can go to the 786. It can go to the 886. This butterfly is still going to be valid. Okay. But yeah, let's see what happens because this is very, very weak right now. I've drastically reduced my ETH holdings, right? So I already took profits on that huge move up. So whatever I had left of my ETH, I've taken like heavy profits on that, right? And then whatever was left, I've cut that down in size as well, because below this, like I was saying, I told you guys a few weeks ago, sorry, that if you ever get below this mid, I'm not going to be holding on to my current ETH position. I'm going to be decreasing it, right? Because so now I've got a bag. I'm comfy holding to break even, right? Which is below the current low I'm expecting, which is right over here. Right, so the current low I'm expecting is 1463. My average is below that, right? So I've got a bag. I'm holding a bag, right? It's currently just 5 figures, not much. That I'm happy to happy to go to break even. Let it go to break even, and if we see strength, I'll just size up accordingly again, right? Otherwise, yeah, it's, you know, there's no point holding on to big sizable bag areas like this, right? Because it's very easy to add when you just do something like that. Okay, what you don't want to do is capitulate on red bags at areas like this, because if you're in the red, right, and there's no point realizing that loss, especially if you're 80% down. I'm sorry, but you know, 80% to 90% not gonna make a big difference, right? Just hold it until you might as well just, you know, because at these lows the chances are much higher to go higher than to carry on going lower, basically. So that's BTC and ETH. Let's look at some alts then, right? Let's look at Sol first. Sol holding the 618, which is good, but below the yearly level, turning it to resistance now, which is not something you want to see. We can see, right, this you've been making lower highs, distributing around this local area, the yearly level. Below this level, you're not going to be shocked. Like I said, if you see Sol at double digits, 102, and then after that straight away at 94. So this zone is going to put Sol at double digits, even if you go smidge into it. So below 126.15, very, very dangerous for Sol. Okay, it's going to be double digits eventually, in my opinion. But should you go and reclaim 126 to 133, right? So, you know, should you go and do something like this? And again, scalp the swing mindset trades. Go and start turning this back into support, right? You can start looking for those longs, right? Scalp the swing mindset longs towards your next yearly level. So from one, you know, even from here, you're putting an average within this area somewhere. That is a 33% increase in price on Solana, right? You put 10k into spot, forget about it, like not much, just, you know, 5 figures, depending on of course your port size, you just allocate something proportional to how much position do you want in this, right? You know, even 10k on this, you're making what, 3,300 basically, right? That's spot, risk-free spot, right? Just get above. That's it. That's the only condition you have. Get above this. Make a note of these levels. As soon as you set some alerts, and when you see price action doing things like this, right? Trying to get above, just get into spot. If you lose it, cut out a spot. If you get above, get back in. You're not going to lose much in spot doing that, right? You're looking for. That's the beauty of having higher time frame key levels, and looking for lower time frame entry models. You're not going to lose much at all. Right, but even that's nothing to scoff at, right? Because that could be 3k within a day or two, right? If the big impulses come in. And if you do catch the lows, then that can very easily turn into literally, you know, I've doubled on my sold position because we've managed to run it back to highs. Let me take my initials out. Now you've gone to the 10k, 5k, whatever it is you put in. That initial, I'm going to take out, make it risk-free, put it back in the bank, or rotate to something else. And then you've got this position size running. So this, even if this now goes down to the gulag, you've not lost anything, right? But yeah, Solana, that's the key level. Nothing much to say because you're currently fighting at key levels. You just gotta hope that the bulls win that fight if you want this relief rally. If they don't, you're gonna get those lower prices before you go higher. Okay, very simple. So we have Solana, right? Let's look at Vanry, because now I'm sure this is actually down at the lows, right? So very low risk now on Vanry. Super low risk. This is something I actually gave in a stream in my own server. I think I released a YouTube recording of this as well. But that tap into Vanry, you tapped into demand zone on the monthly, right? You had 2 weeks monthly demand zone right here, and this is again a specific version of the demand zone. This is your textbook demand zone, right? So this is your classic version of the demand zone. Yeah, you've reacted off it. Look, you had the lows. So if this is successful, you have a smiley face. As ugly as this price action is, you have a smiley face. Even just a move back up, not even anything crazy, right? Just up to your last, like, you know, breakdown from a key level. That's gonna put you at 176% move, right? So you've got these coin space, super easy to manage your risk, right? Are you going to be telling me you're going to be shorting Vanry here? You're going to sell your Vanry. Let's say you bought Vanry at you know, let's say you bought Vanry at 20 cents. You're going to sell it at 2 cents, right? Or 0.02 cents. No, you're not going to. You might as well just hold it, right? To try and get to 0.06, so on and so forth. Who cares? If you bought that high and you're here, I hate to break it to you, it's too late, right? Just hold it. Not financial advice, but just hold it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'd do. You know, that's like trying to slap a like a little band-aid on after you've already had your leg amputated, right? It's not going to do much at that point, is it? So yeah, Vanry 1 in terms of spot now, very easy to manage your risk. Okay, very easy. How would you do it locally speaking? Yeah, last weekly close, 2 weeks close, monthly close, even gonna happen in 13 days. So let's look at 2 weeks. Here's your 2-week buyer zone. If you get a pullback, right, either you wait for 0.02, whatever this is basically, right, that kind of body close on the 2 weeks. Either you wait for a flip of that lower time frame entry models, right, or you wait for a pullback to this area there. And if you do something like this, that's where you look to get in. That's it, right? But realistically, for spot, anywhere within here is very easy to manage your risk, especially if you use 20-40-40. Okay. Oh. But Vanry, like, you know, yes, we weren't interested at the breakdown from key levels, right? I told you guys to get out at the right time. This was something, you know, it was looking great. It was looking very good when we were looking at it here. It was looking, and we got a really nice move off it. So it's not like it was a trade that went red. We got a very nice move off September entries on this, right? So we're looking at this in September, and then October we got the drop, and then after the drop is when we're like, okay, yeah, let's look at this, right? So we got a very nice move off Vanry, right? The average was even lower. It was the lower time frame smiley face here, there. And then it came down, right? Took profits, and then it came down to break even. So now we're just looking to read that up again, right? At an even better price. Can't complain. Vanry, right? Like, if you want to spot, honestly, do you know what I mean? Like, you cannot fault the area we're at in terms of risk to reward. You can't. Good luck finding a risk to reward swing short on this from here, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. We've looked at Sol. Let's look at Injective, right? Injective at our key inflection areas, or rather range mid. So let's look at this chart instead. Hang on. Yeah, so this is the chart we had. So we have turned, we've hit the 3.618. We've hit the 2021 12-month seller zone low, like we talked about last stream. Right, we talked about last stream. We've hit this level now. Another lower high in the making. Now, if you can put a local high low in, that might give you a, a quick little relief bounce back to the upside to the 2.618 to the 2024 12-month buy zone low, so on and so forth. That might happen, but if not, then we might be looking for one more drop down, especially if Bitcoin gives us the drop before the move up. And I'd be really interested in picking this up at this area, right? Why have I got this area marked? We have, firstly, from the low to the high, we've got a shark, right? The 886 of the shark is right in this area, the PRZ of the shark. What else do we have? Well, over here, 876, 1.618, that is a deep crab. We have a deep crab at the bottom, so we have two PRZs already, right? So with those two in mind, we've got two different bullish harmonics lining up somewhere in this area, and this area between, let's say, $6.21 to $4.14. If we go back here and we take a look, right, $6.21 to $4.4. Wait, no, $6.21 to $4.14. If we take a look, that area is also our next key target, right? Basically, that is our next key inflection area. That is where I would be looking to go if this mid is turned into resistance. So it'd be a beautiful area to do pick up some injective support, resistance, support. So just come and reclaim it as support again, maybe get a wick down, come up, reclaim. If that happens, then you'll be looking for moves back up to the upside, right? But that is injective. Hang on, let me turn some of these horizontal lines off. There. Got a lot of shit on this chart. There. Okay. But yeah, that's injective, right? Pretty self-explanatory if you look at the actual chart itself. So I don't need to go too deep into this. PRZ, or just reclaim the top of this box. You're good. Okay, so we looked at ETH. ETH BTC, very shoddy. I was really hoping that this would hold the 886, right? It didn't, right? So whatever position I had built out over here, as soon as we got below the lower to higher point of control, I closed out, right? So I've got that 60k back. I'm just going to add into this if we reclaim, or if we go to the lower levels. That's it. Right, I do want to catch a sizable position on this, because if you just look at the chart, at some point it's going to go back to the upside, right? Unless ETH actually dies as a project, there's no reason to believe this is actually going to go and die. For now, I'm just looking at this as you've had a very bearish period, but perhaps now if we hit these deep levels and we raid and we reclaim, then structure can start building up back to the upside. That's what I want to catch with size, right? So I've got that 60k free again. I'm just going to add it. If we just reclaim, or if we go tag those lower levels, just look to size up again, or size in again rather. Sorry. Look at BTC Aptos. Let's take a look at you. Aptos holding like a rock still, right? Nothing has changed. This thing is just holding this very key area between the 0, 0.5 and the 1, right? Why have we got that? That was your liquidation wick buyer zone, right? There's a huge selling pressure here. There's your buyer zone, right? And you're holding it, right? Without fault, you're holding it. If I was to turn the high volume candles off once, that's a red candle. So actually I can go ahead and put a macro read on here as well. No, I cannot. Never mind. That is the right thing. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So you're holding the mid. Yes, you're below this right now. You want to be above, and if you're below it, you might very easily do this right before going higher. But this is one I really want in my port, right? So definitely one I'm watching. I've already got a spot of this, right? We've got a spot. I entered positions in the liquidation wick that hasn't been stopped out yet, right? If it gets stopped out, I'll just enter again. We had a really nice run up on this from previous year. Again, if you guys remember this, when I was saying, look, Aptos at range lows, this is a very good area to get in, right? That's the reason we got into Aptos. This is one of our top 10 projects for this move up. Now you've completed bullish structures again, right? You're at range lows, especially if you get that rate of range lows, right? Like the rate of these levels, great, absolutely amazing, right? Another thing to look at actually is Aptos against ETH, so on and so forth, right? So if you take a look at Aptos against BTC first, this is one of those projects that has gone and now raided. It's low against Bitcoin, right? So that's one reason as to why this could start outperforming. Right, that raid was followed by weekly bullish divergence, lower low in price. If you take a look, right here, lower low in price, that is a higher low in RSI. As shallow as it might seem, or is it? Or is my eyes playing tricks on me? One sec. No, it is. It definitely is. Yeah. There, that's a higher low. So that is bullish divergence. Okay, it might not look like it, but that is Class A bullish divergence. You're saying the selling pressure subsiding, right? Or rather, the momentum is no longer on the seller side, right? The relative strength of the seller is fading away, is what you're saying if you have Class A bullish divergence on the weekly to be taken seriously, in my opinion. So this could very well outperform Bitcoin, right? Very, very soon. That's what this is telling us, right? Of course, you've rated the lows, you're holding it for now. There's no structure telling us we're bullish, but this is where you build your position, at least lay the foundations of it so you can size up in the future when the trend shift, so on and so forth occurs. And then you don't have to worry for the impulse phases. You just lay back and chill and just sell once things get going, right? And of course, Aptos against ETH, like I was talking about. Here we go. We haven't got that type 2 yet. I was really hoping we'd get the type 2. This is your type 1 reaction, right? Your 382 pretty much hit at this move up. Let me show you. From this high down to this low. You what, mate? 1 second. There. Right, yeah, your 382's hit. So I'd love a macro move down on this, flush the range lows, and then reclaim. Even though locally that might look bearish, it's actually going to put in very beautiful structure. It's going to confirm the PRZ. That's already happened locally, but I'd want to move away and then come back straight into this, right? Confirm the PRZ. If you get that, Aptos against ETH looks like, you have a very good reason to say, yeah, I think it's definitely bottomed out. But yeah, if you keep going up like this, then you're just going to keep reclaiming yearly levels and go higher, right? You turn that yearly level into support. This is what it is. If this holds support, you're going to be going higher. But what is Aptos against ETH telling us now? This is showing us that the relative strength of Aptos against Ethereum looks good. It looks like Aptos is ready to outperform Ethereum, is what we're saying. Okay. So, those are the kind of coins you want to go into. If you're going to take the risk to go further out of the risk curve, right? So you want to sell your Bitcoin, sell your ETH, which are your, proven, tried and tested alts, and you want to go into these newer coins that are a bit more risky. You've got to make sure at least the reward is worth the risk. Right, like if you're gonna take that risk to enter into a, just vaporware, right? Just other coins that are lower market cap, like not as old, like not as established. Then you at least at the minimum, what you want to make sure is that this project looks ready to run against what I'm holding, which is Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? So then you can make that decision. And this is telling you that Aptos looks ready to run against Ethereum. I start outperforming Ethereum, right? So that is Aptos, something to consider. Right, AVAX, another one. So we talked about last time, if you lose 23, you're going to go to 17, right? So we've hit that 17 level. We hit it on Sunday, right? And then Monday, Wednesday, so on and so forth. We looked at this and it was held last week. That's giving a move up, but again, it's another lower high. No reclaims of actual key levels, right? So I'd want either just go and give us that 1.13, go raid the next yearly level, so on and so forth. But if this holds, ultimately, right, if you were to get some more pullbacks into this area, again, scalp the swing mindset trade to try and take this up towards 20, right, 20.58, and then 26.50, so on and so forth, right? Sorry, 23.58, I believe that is. But yeah, so this is AVAX. Just interested in that 1.13 there. That'd be very, very nice to get on AVAX. Say, another one, right? Very, very beautiful. Look, multiple ways you can look at it, right? First of all, what did you have? Why did we get into this in September last year? We had a bullish shark, bullish M shape, XABCD, right? That bullish M shape led us to a 5-0, a bullish shark to a bearish 5-0. And this is something we identified on stream. I gave a head short for this one. That gave us all the way back down. Now you can view this as a type 2 return. This could be a very nice type 2 return, right? Back to your 886 original. You rated it for now. But the 886 return back to your 886 original. And in doing so, what you've also done is you've actually hit your macro shark, right? So if you look at that A, now external, right? XABCD, right? That one in like that turquoise green kind of color. That's your macro shark 886. You've tapped it, right? And it's held. Right, so now if you go and reclaim your previous 886, again, for me, that'd be very nice smiley face to try and play to the upside. For spot, your risk management couldn't be easier. This is what I gave my own server in a stream, but pretty much where you are right now. Right, couldn't be easier. At this particular point, I'd wait until you flip the 4-month buyer zone low back into support before you get in, right? Because right now you'd be entering in the middle of nowhere. No edge, basically, right? But on the higher time frame, you zoom out and you realize, okay, well, if you do bottom around here and this 886 does hold, then 1.13 is completely valid. And if that's valid, your target is $1.26 from where we currently are, right? And that is a 500 and let's say 60% move up basically in price. Again, you put just 5k in, you're making 25k right there, right? You put 10k in, you're making 50, right? Well, more than 50 actually. You're making like, you know, 50,000, 55,000 or something like this basically, right? But there's loads of money to be made even on spot. You don't need to be like, you know, leveraging if you don't want to at these levels. Yes, spot's going to be more than enough, right? But the one thing I would say is like I said, that's the reason I'm saying don't be completely sidelined is we cannot ignore the risk to reward opportunity present to us right now. Or we can't. You can ignore it if you want, but then you can't complain if you then miss out on a, you know, a 50% impulse over the course of a week or two, right? And when you're moving like that, it's that first impulse candle is already too late to manage your risk. After that, it becomes very, very hard, right? And the further out you go, the more truer and truer this becomes. But that's it, right? Something very easy to watch for. Let's take a look. SWE. I'm not convinced on SWE, to be honest. We've hit our OG range, standard deviation 2 value area high. We've hit basically the A point of the harmonic as well, right? The previous harmonic. We've hit the 886. We're reacting off it, but now we are turning our range highs back into resistance. If that happens, we could very easily get one more flush, right? This could turn into a lower time frame range on SWE for now. Don't get it twisted. If you lose this level, your next area of interest on SWE is all the way down towards like $1.64. Right below this level, you will be able to catch a short down towards 164, in my opinion. Okay, it's too late to enter where we currently are. You just can't manage your risk, in my opinion, over here for a trade anyway. Not unless you're thinking about swinging, right? If your target's all the way out here, then obviously your risk to reward would make sense. But now, if you're looking for intraday trades or anything, not until you're back at range lows. Again, this is something I gave in my own server. Right now, this is something that needs to be flipped like this. Right, you're at resistance now, right? So flip, yeah, sure. Like you've broken out of resistance, we can go higher. But if you don't, this is what it is, right? This is not an area to be entering right now, in my opinion. You can wait for a clean flip at this particular point in time. Trump, let's take a look. Right, holding the 886, still within the BAT. So still within the buy-seller zone, right over here, below your yearly level, right, or rather monthly level in this case. But above the 886, we're Gucci, right? We just want some sort of breakout here. If you were to get something like this, that'd be so nice on Trump. I'd be looking for moves up towards $23. No cap. Move back up towards $23, or at least somewhere here, right? I'll look for new data under the macro level high before maybe trend shifts, and then we can go expand higher. But this is it, right? We're either very close to a breakout, or this is going to fail miserably, and you're going to get one more drive lower. Those are the two extreme scenarios. The non-extreme scenarios, you just go sideways here, eventually breaking out of this supply line, and then you have no idea when you're going to break out after that, right? So after that, it just becomes a game of play the range. But so far on Trump, that is basically one massive falling wedge. Okay, this to this even, something like this. That is one massive falling wedge on Trump right now. So the question is, let's see if this plays out. That's it. Right, let's see if it plays out. This play was a beautiful one on Trump, so this is the next one we're going to be watching for. Ondo. Now, this hedge played completely. This was in the YouTube video I released, because even though I gave these on my server, I did release the video as well, right? Because I wanted everyone to be able to get into these. The hedge played out completely, right? So this was one of the many hedges given. This, Sol, AVAX, ETH, BTC. That we gave many hedges. Trump shorts, ENA shorts. Many were given. So this hedge played out completely. Now we've hit the PRZ area. I've got a better chart for you to try and see this, right? If you're going to get into AVAX, okay, not AVAX, sorry. If you're going to get into Ondo, 3 things to watch for. Let me show them to you, right? I want you to treat these 3 zones as individual zones, okay? You're not trying to 20, 40, 40 this entire range. You can try if you want, but you're going to be losing you could be in the red for a long time if you try to do that. All right, so the initial entry I gave my guys is here. When that got tapped, I basically said, look, you can enter here, treat this as individual zones, right? So this one's played out. This is your main resistance, right? If you can't get above, you take profits. If you have any more drives down and we lose this zone, the next is this, right? So why have I done this? of course. Now over here, if you take a look, you have from this extreme, right, up, down, up, down. Okay, that's a bat. Okay, that's a harmonic shape. That's a bat. You have your bat 886 and the 2.618 both in this area. Okay, so there's your PRZ lining up with, from the same area you've got a shark, right? So you've got a shark. So you've got a bat 886, you've got a bat 2.618, you've got a shark 886. That becomes a very nice PRZ, which is why this was the first zone. If you lose this, there's no point holding. You're saying you either reclaim this to enter, lower time frame to higher time frame mindset trade, right? Scalp the swing mindset based on higher levels, or you enter at the next zone. Very easy. There's no point DCing the entire range, in my opinion. I'd much rather just get focus buys and add key areas, right? If you lose this, you now have the consolidation range that you're within. You have the mid of that, okay? You have the external bat. So now from this point, up, down, you have the external bat 886 and the external shark 886 as well. Now the red and the white, right? So now you have again a beautiful PRZ with two different bullish harmonics. And if you lose that as well, then I'll be looking at this lower zone, either below this range slash the ABC 0.5, 2.0 won't be out of the question, right? So ultimately, like, this is something I don't want to lose on Ondo. But if you do something like this, right, with this resistance, and then you reclaim and start reclaiming, that's where, like, you'd be looking to size up, and then try to play that move back up to the upside from here. Right, but we now have three distinct, very, very important zones on Ondo. If you lose this, we're looking for external harmonics all the way from the left, right? We're looking for macro retracements in that case. And that's something we'll talk about only if it comes to pass. Right now, it hasn't come to pass. Okay. Now, for Ondo, I'm very interested to see, did we have any sort of... So you did have a ABCD as to why you topped out there, right? So we have loads of confluence, right? 3 distinct zones for Ondo. 1, 2, 3. Those are the ones you're going to be interested in. Okay, treat them like individual zones, right? Zone by zone by zone. Set your own alerts up, and then just go around it. The levels are in front of you. I've described what kind of price action you're looking for, right? You get pullbacks. You get, sellers trying to get below, but you close above. You take a trade. You put your stop loss below that retest wick low. You try to ride it higher. Right? Lower time from entry model preferred. If you get below that and you close below, just it's what it is. Your stop loss hits until if your stop loss hits and then you close above again, you got rated, you just open a position again. It's what it is, right? If your stop loss hits and you keep on going lower, right, then don't open anything until you either reclaim that level or you get down to at least a front run of this level here, right? You lose that, then you go down to this area, rinse and repeat. But 3 distinct zones for Ondo. Okay, 3 very distinct zones for Ondo. So next, let's take a look at Hype. Hype is another one that I think I'm very, very interested in, just because of where it's at. Okay, so first of all, for Hype, if you take a look at where you are, right, the 86 is way below you. You're not the 86 yet, right? 6.26. So this is one of those coins that hasn't had a deep retracement. But what you have had is 702, 707. Right? You've hit your liquidity rate of the golden pocket. You're holding for now. On top of the fact that 702, 707 is hit, you've got just below the 414 of the log, your liquidity rate of your shallow golden pocket is also here, right? So I had this zone basically, but I was very, very interested in having Hype, right? That's it. So that as long as we're above this on Hype, I'm going to be building positions. If we get below this, I'm going to be looking for 956, and below that, I'm going to be looking for 626, right? 2 very distinct levels, no confusion whatsoever. But ultimately, we're not going anywhere until you get above 1328. But if you now get lower time frame flips at 3028 to support, you can try and catch scalps up towards 1549. Now, pair that with the fact, like I said, we've got a completed ABCD here, right? A 618, 1.618. If I was to click on this, very close to a 618 here, 0.59, but that is basically a 618, right? So you have a 1.618 hit. That's a valid ABCD. So you have wave structure, you have key levels being hit, and I believe you have. Do you have bullish divs? No, not really. Never mind the bullish divs. But in terms of where you are, in terms of structure, this is where you're wanting to hold this, right? Because it's very easy to get rid of it. You don't want to lose this level. Again, where you currently are, I'd honestly look for a lower time frame to higher time frame mindset trade. So you have your yearly level, 4 hour to daily flips, right? Of 1328, that's going to send you higher. There's no point opening a position at resistance, right? You might as well just wait until you're above it slightly. That's going to give you a way better entry in terms of like, you know, how likely are you going to be stopped out, so on and so forth. But hype's another one. Now Dogecoin, if we take a look, the way I see it, right, X, A, B, C, D. If I were to look at this, if you're considering the external harmonic, you've not hit the 886 yet. Now, if you were to take your pivot point from like somewhere indoors, I'm sure that's an 886, right? I thought I might as well just stick to the external for this. That's all. So I've stuck with the external for now. It's a bit lower. If we do get a lower high here, I'm hoping for a raid to reclaim to higher. Otherwise, you know, if you stop trending within the top half of this box and then closing above the actual box itself, you're looking for scalp the swing mindset trades up towards this next key yearly zone here. If that flips into support, that's when Doge flies again. It goes towards 31 straight away. Right? I think that's where it goes. But very, very reactive area where we currently are, right? So that's something to consider on Doge. And last but not least, PAL, right? If you can flip 886 back into support higher, otherwise you might actually go down and get this shot, the 1.13. Okay. Okay, so those are the alts. Let's go over a few more. I've actually got a few more alts I want to look at today. So first of all, LDO. Right, I think we looked at this last week, but the LDO 886 has hit, right? This hit, like I was saying, if you lose that key level on LDO, the next logical thing to do is to go down towards the 886 of the bat. We have hit that, right? This is something I gave in my own place, but it's not too late to get into this, to be honest, right? Personally, I'd wait for a bit lower or until like local resistance gets flipped to support now, right? That's where you're rejecting off of. But you know, as long as you're above this level, I'd be looking for moves back up towards 145 on LDO, right? Go confirm that resistance and then maybe come back down once more. And if you lose this zone between the 886 and this yellow line at 75.95, that's where I look for the actual demand zone, right over here. That's a textbook demand zone, impulse down, consolidate, impulse back up. I'd look for a tap into that, maybe even raid the lows, to be honest, before reclaiming, and that reclaim is what I'd add on. Okay. Other ETH betas to watch for is of course OP. Now, this is something interesting simply because of where it's at, right? I would not get in below 0.916. I'd want to get above 0.916 to actually get in. But what you have is a macro shark, X, A, B, C, D, right? The shark is hit. On top of that, what you also have here is a 786, 1.272, a butterfly, right? So you have two bullish structures completing here for a PRZ. You know, if you really wanted to, like for spot, like I suppose you could start layering in here in the sense that your invalidation is going to be blindingly obvious. It's going to be below that wick, right? But it's still 15%. And if you account for what's happened in history, I'd put it below this to this somewhere, right? So your stop losses could still be pretty wide. So that's why I'm saying personally, I'd wait to get above 2022 12-month seller zone low, because above that, we know what happens, right? Above that, we know you're looking at these moves up, and stop loss management becomes much easier. So it's up to you whether you decide to enter a bit now and then size up on the flip, or you just wait for the flip, right? There's no right or wrong answer. It depends on you as a trader and your risk management profile. But this is a beautiful structure. Okay, you've got two M shapes. OP is another one to watch. Not really looked at ETHFI, so I'm gonna skip that for now. You at the lows, but apart from that, I've not really looked at it. Oh, again, not interested in this shit until we reclaim the macro. Right now, you might be able to catch some lower time frame trades, but they're not going to be high confidence at all. You're literally below your exchange listing lows. I don't have anything high confidence about ARB currently. Right? Do we have bull divs? Now that is something to consider, to be honest. We do have bull divs on Arbitrum, right? So that might play out. So here's what I do. Here's what I do on Arbitrum. Okay, here's your extreme. If you come back down and you do start seeing, like, you know, buys are reclaiming this level, you can look for those, like I said, lower time frame to higher time frame risk managed trades, to even just to the upside. Like, you know, you put your stop loss below the retest wick low, wherever that may come in, somewhere even like to back over here. That's going to be a risk to reward trade worth it if you were to get the entry. Okay. So that's Arbitrum, and of course, if you're going to get into Arbitrum, GMX is another one you could consider. But once again, this is a wait. No, never mind. No, we haven't. Never mind. Yeah, reclaim the white box is what I'm interested in. Otherwise, this looks pretty bad, right? I mean, you basically back at range lows. In that regard, it doesn't look bad. If you're thinking about it as a swing trade, right, and you're willing to risk a certain amount, let's say 30% from where you are, doesn't look bad. But in terms of market structure, it looks terrible, right? You want to be getting above all these levels and going higher. Well, you're within a falling wedge. Again, there's no denying it. You're within the falling wedge, and you're at the bottom of the said wedge right now. Okay, you're at the bottom of the said wedge right now. In fact, you might even put in a dragon. If I was to do this, and I was to say, okay, not yet. Okay, not yet for a dragon, but it's alright. But yeah, GMX. Other ones to watch for, of course, God of AVAX. Cetus, like we were talking about. Look, don't Cetus. We went over this last week's stream as well, right? I've got my position. In fact, this was the trade setup, I believe. I don't know if it was in Unity or in my own place, but I did give this one as a trade setup, and the target's pretty much hit, right? The risk reward of 3 is definitely hit, so this was a very valid, like, lower time frame scalp trade. But on the higher time frame, which is one I'm particularly interested in, if I was to do this, why am I interested again? Shark, sorry, BAT, right? X A B C D. 886, 0.5 basically, 0.886. We're basically back to where we entered this last time. Right now, September entries were somewhere a bit lower. Right, September entries were somewhere around over here, and that is what really gave us that insane move up on Cetus. But if you missed that originally, you're literally getting a chance to read this up. And don't forget, Cetus is going to be for both Sui and Aptos. So both of those do absolutely amazing at the euphoric phase of the bull run. If you get it right, if you get the euphoric cold season, if Aptos and Sui both go haywire, this is going to absolutely rock it. Okay, this is going to rock it. Other ones to watch, ENA, right? ENA, for very obvious reason. This one has multiple divs going on, right? Multiple divs. If you were to take a look, lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, high low, high low, high low, bullish divs after bullish divs after bullish divs, right? So clearly, seller exhaustion is being implied, right? But what I'd do personally is I would wait for a close above the macro point of control. Again, I'd just wait for something like this on the lower time frame. It could be on the 5 minutes if you wanted, to be honest, right? Just a sign we're getting above. Because the macro point of control used to be a bit higher, around 3.9 something, and now it's dropped down, meaning the most traded volume has changed, right? It's gone to 3.687 for now. Might change in the future, but as long as you're below the most traded volume, you're not looking to go higher, right? At the end of the day, we know that there is M shapes, XABCD. What is that? That is a shot, right? That is a very, very nice shot. What else do we have? We have the ABCD, 3.618. All in this area over here, right? Not even a shark, sorry. I've got a bat here. The shark's lower, right? I've got a bat 886 in this area. So ABCD here, ABCD here. So I had a bat 886, right in this area, and then the shark 886 is slightly lower, right? So you have a lot of harmonics lining up in this area, right? Down in this area. So it's a very, very beautiful PRC. Therefore, it's something that, if you keep below this, that'd be a beautiful area of confluence for me to try and get into, basically. Right, beautiful area of confluence to try and get into. So EN is definitely one to watch. Again, very easy to manage spot. If you, at the area you are right now, it's actually so simple, right? You could enter spot here, and if you see like a 1 hour, 4 hour close below, in this case 3583, you just cut, because you either add next when you just reclaim this again for a safer entry, or you wait till the lower levels get tagged, right? But in terms of even a scalp trade, even on the lower time frame, you could take one very easily at this area. You're at the key zone right now, right? That's ENA. Toncoin, look, I've not changed anything since I gave this one, right? Look, we literally hit the 786 to the T, right? This was a pre-planned one, and we had an insane run up. Is it really a coincidence that the wick, the candle that gave us the retest of that very important area I talked about, all of a sudden there's news being released that, oh, the founder of Ton is allowed back in Dubai to resume business? Is it really? This is what I mean when I say news doesn't matter. Okay, charts will tell you beforehand. News is just going to give a reason for the chart to play out the way it did. That's it, right? Otherwise, news honestly does not matter, because this retest was given away in advance. As soon as the retest happened, I opened a position, and the next thing you know, founder of Toncoin allowed back in Dubai to do business, right? That's the reason this pumped so hard, right? Like, it pumped, how much was it? It pumped like 55%, right? And it wasn't even the course of over a few days it did that, right? And now you're back at resistance again. So now this is what I mean, because if you don't bid at the areas where it makes sense to, how are you going to manage your risk here? You're going to have to wait for a breakout retest. That's it. Right, otherwise you've turned yearly level into resistance. If anything, risk to reward is on the short side, right? Maybe a pullback. In fact, I'd love a pullback to size up on. If you get a pullback and get a smiley face, I'd size up my position and then look for the breakout. But that's Toncoin, right? The initial plus local resistance being flipped to support, so on and so forth. Those entries are done, right? We got 55% on that already, from last week's stream as well, right? This is that, this was given before, and I also looked at that like, look, we're getting the retest on ton, right? We looked at this in last week's stream, and now you're up 55%. Right? That's what it is. This is, again, I know I said it, but this is what I mean. Your news does not matter, right? Charts will always tell you, like, give you an idea beforehand what's happening. You had no reason to be on a short here. If anything, this was a retest going on, and the retest was being successful. Aggressive sellers were being absorbed, right? Yeah, look, market sells, market sells. All these aggressive sellers that were being absorbed, they couldn't break the price down, right? If you take a look down at this area, look, aggressive selling, and yet, what do we do? Smiley face, right? Quasimodo in this case, and then you just go higher. So, TA over everything else when it comes to trading. TA over everything else. TON, that's TON, right? XMR. XMR is something I think looks amazing. I know I said this all the time, even from last year. XMR just makes sense, okay? To me, this makes sense. I've got a position in XMR. This isn't how you're meant to use harmonics, but you can describe the current wave structure very beautifully using a Gartley, right? From your all-time low in 2015 to your all-time high in 2021, down to your B point. If you take that as a 618, right? Because, yeah, we went lower, but is the 618 respected? Again, that's what you ask. And the answer is yes, right? Look, there's your 618. Came down to retest and support, turned to resistance, distributed as resistance before you went lower. So 618 clearly did the heavy lifting, right? So I'm going to pin it to the 618. In that case, 1.618 extension was the low, so you have a macro Gartley 786 plus 1.618 here, right? 786. You have the macro Gartley 618, which you're broken out of. You have a 2-year accumulation range. I believe it's 2 years, from 2022 to 2024. Yeah, 2-year accumulation range, just like Link had before it broke out, right? 2-year accumulation range, and now you're breaking out, and if you can flip this area into support, this goes higher. I think XMR is one of those nano coins that if you look at this, like 5-10 years down the line, this is going to be repriced much higher, in my opinion, right? That's my long-term thesis, which is why I'm not entering this with a scalp to swing mindset or whatever. I'm just throwing in something for the long term and just locking it away. Okay, so if you enter this, just have that in mind. No stop losses, nothing. I'm entering this with the long term in mind. Okay, this is an investment for me, not a trade. But my entry is like all the way from down here anyway. We've been talking about it. I've been talking about this for a while now, so I'm in no risk of getting stopped out yet. But yeah, I think XMR looks amazing. LTC, this is another one, right? This reminds me very much, even though this looks like a lot of levels, is because, let me just zoom in. These are all yearly levels, right? When a coin is this old, there's going to be a lot of yearly levels, obviously. So everything can be explained by yearly level. The downturn we're having right now is because you broke down and turned a yearly level into resistance, 2019. That leads me to believe we could very well get LTC at $76 to $74 next. Right, if that happens, I'm in. Otherwise, I'll wait for the reclaim to get in. Right, that's it. But even LTC, its structure is beautiful. Right, if I was to go here, and I was to go to this and go to Litecoin, if we were to take a look at the structure of Litecoin, right? You know what? Let me just do a fresh chart here. This is a load of shit. There we go. I kept telling people get XRP for a few years, right? And if you remember me and Wog, we used to be on stream talking about how XRP is like, it's gonna do well at some point. It looks good on the higher time frame. Same thing here. Okay, look, some shark is absolutely buying LTC. For sure they are. Look, it's very obvious. 2018, 2019, 2022, 2024, what do you notice consistently? Higher lows. Okay, this is telling me, just again, price action analysis is this. What is this telling you? This is telling you there is someone out there, there's a shark that smells the blood in the water every single time and goes on a feeding frenzy, just buying up all the Litecoin, right? Someone is propping this up. Someone is interested, and it's not an interest in 15 minutes, or it's not like a 4-hour interest, like 4 hour, all of this, or HLC, whatever bullshit. This is multi-year accumulation. We don't fade those. Okay. Now it's we had the same with XRP, and you saw what XRP did, right? We ran from 56 cents last average entry all the way up to like the $2 something, $3, right? And could go higher still for the remainder of this cycle. LTC position very similarly in my opinion. Okay, so just keep this one in mind. You think you can't make any money with this, you could be very, very wrong. Low leverage swing with size on this can make you a lot of money. A lot of money. Okay. Even from here, if you were to go and target, because what's happened, what's history telling us is telling us this makes a new high. So even if you were to follow the trend, right? If you were to literally just follow the trend, LTC, something for me would also be looking like an investment almost, right? Longer term mindset, 450%. On a high cap, you can have confidence. It's not just going to rock and vanish into thin air, right? Again, lower time frame to higher time frame entry models is preferred to really maximize your risk to reward. But even on leverage from where we are, right? Even if let's say we get that drop down to 75, that's a lot of gains. XRP gave you the same thing. I said the same thing about XRP, right? Basically, no one listened. Only a few did. It looked impossible, right? XRP is a shitcoin. It's not going to move 500%. What's the next thing it did, right? If we go back to XRP, just to remember what XRP did. If I was to go back to Focus and I was to drop down to the XRP chart, we cannot be surprised when this happens. Again, like warnings were given, same thing. Someone is buying this high lows, high lows, high lows, multi-year high lows, wave structure, yearly levels respected, right? A cumulative structure put in, and then what do you know? Within a month or two, literally, you go on the monthly 1 month candle, gave you a return of 300%. Good luck asking me for entries from here because I'm not going to give you one, right? I'm not going to be entering up here now. If you get a flip, you can try for lower time frame trades, but you're going to have a very hard time sizing up because now I honestly think XRP could very, very easily, this is distributive, like I was saying, right? That is resistance. When we looked at this last, in fact, this was on a Unity stream that I looked at this and said, look, XRP isn't like, it's not breaking out yet. It's at resistance. And then they said this in my server as well. I wouldn't be surprised if you got a raid to like 145 or something before we went higher. You cannot have a risk-free entry here now because you've had a big pump off the lows. This is fair game, right? Litecoin is at a position where you can at least try to manage your risks, right? Especially if you get that drop across the market. So do capitalize on it. Not financial advice, but if you're trading, I would personally capitalize on the opportunities, right? Don't focus just on the low caps. So that's XRP. We looked at XMR. If I go back to this one, what else? We looked at LTC. Not interested below this level. Rune, not it's what it is, right? DYDX. Lower time frame, scalp the swing mindset trade possible, right? So this is already entered, but if you get a pullback towards 57 cents and it holds, you can try and go for this play. Metis, 1 second. Has anything changed now? So we've got a yearly buy seller zones. That's fine. Let's get rid of this and turn group 1 off. Is there weekly bullish divs? No, there isn't, sadly. What about 2 weeks? Is there 2 week bullish divs? No, there isn't. I'm guessing there isn't going to be on any time frame, to be honest. What about the monthly? RSI's not even going to show up. Great, there we go. Okay, what about the daily? No. Okay, well that's a shame. Okay, in that case, well we are at, okay, to be honest though, right? We are at a yearly level, weekly SFP done. If you wanted a swing, like what do I mean? Let me give you an example of like wait for the retest and the retest wick low. That's your retest, right? This is your retest of your key level. This is your retest wick low, right? So if you were to enter a trade based on the confirmation, you put your stop loss at a minimum below the retest wick low. And then what I do is I also look to the left and look at, okay, do we have any historic action on here? So for actually right now as we speak, right, you can do something like this. Yeah, something like this, 18% basically, right? 18% stop loss on Metis, right? If you wanted to get in, right? You don't have to go all in. Even just to here, that's a very, very conservative trade. That is a amazing risk to reward trade, right? 8.32 on the higher time frame. Let's see, do we have any sort of structure here that could take us to the lower levels? We have. One could make an argument for a bat, I suppose, especially, no, not a bat, sorry, this is not going to be easy on the daily. Okay, so I think we have a butterfly here on Metis. That's basically a 786, okay? That is basically a 786. And if that is the case, then yeah, we do. We have a butterfly. Well, 1 sec. We can do this. We might be slightly exceeding the limits of a butterfly. We might be slightly exceeding it. If I remember off the top of my head, right, if I was to think about this, can I go ahead and actually call this a butterfly, right? So if I was to think about it, let me just recall. What was the allowed extension for a butterfly? Well, I think 2.24 is the allowed extension for a butterfly. That is a 2.6. Right, so this is a bit deep, to be honest. So I wouldn't call this a completely valid butterfly. Or what we could do instead of trying to 0.618 wouldn't be a crap. Let's take a look. We have a no, no. If it's an extension pattern, it has to be a shark, a butterfly, or a crab. Right? It's not deep enough to be a crab. It's too shallow to be a butterfly. Butterfly has to be a 786. At which case, this goes a bit too deep in my. Oh wait, I thought that's wrong. So I'd have to pin it to this here. Yeah, that goes too deep, right? 2.808. It's up to a 2.24 for a butterfly, right? That goes a bit too deep. Now we can try and do it a PRZ with it. You know, butterfly 2.24, and then a butterfly 1.272. We can do that. In fact, why don't we just do that? Okay, so we do have a PRZ for Metis. I'm going to go ahead and call this a butterfly, okay? Because 1.272 was hit at the end of the day as an extension. But on the macro, right, the important thing is not just the fact there's a butterfly there, of course, is the fact we know there's also other higher time frame harmonics in here, right? We have a shark, we have a bat, and the PRZs for those are pointed out right over here. Right, so ultimately, if you can reclaim this, we go higher. But in terms of risk to reward, especially for spot, especially if you use 20-40-40, you don't have to go all in here. You can layer in over time. Metis is an area where you can very easily manage your risk, in my opinion, right? Very, very easily. Maker, another very good one. I'm already in on Maker. Like I told you guys about this ages ago. Monthly fair value gap filled. We hit the 1.13 of the old raid, right? So from if you go to the weekly, that was a 1.13 of that. We hit the ABCD 2.0, so I'm already in on Maker. This would be a beautiful higher low if we got it. If not, you know, 786, 886 is also fine based off this harmonic. Back to this box basically. But your most shallow target, if this is the bottom, is 2074, i.e. a 70% increase in price. After that, I'll be looking for X, i.e. a B point. 99, basically 2X in price, and above that is going to be somewhere between the 886, which is going to be somewhere around here, and then the 1.13, which is going to be somewhere around here. Right, so I think MKR looks fine. It's good. It looks good. Let me add a trend line to this. There we go. Sort of macro trend line. Yeah, MKR looks fine in my opinion, right? Huge. In fact, do we have a dragon in this area? Oh, we very well could have a dragon. I mean, has to be minimum 1.13, but that's very close to 1.13. So your dragon would be that, and if you break it, then you have the chance to turn it into a cipher, i.e. a 786. Now a cipher is an unofficial harmonic pattern. It was not created by Scott Carney, but it's a harmonic pattern nonetheless. Right. So yeah, you could turn this into a cipher. So we've got targets higher. That's the point I'm trying to make, right? We've definitely got targets higher for Maker. So that's something to consider. Okay. In fact, let me leave that on and turn it off for now. There. So that's Maker. Fartcoin still holding, right? You're distributing, not distributing, but rather you're struggling to get above. Actually, no, yeah, that's right. You're distributing. You're struggling very hard to get above these key areas. But if you do now come down and you do something like this, this, and this, right? If this is your smiley face, ultimately, I think Fartcoin goes higher, right? You at the end of the day, you're at your lows. You only had 2 more levels left. You hit most of your ABCD targets, right? I'll be looking for higher. Back to 0.47 and then flip that. We're talking back towards 93 cents, right? So even if we go with the conservative target, 245% returns, right, on Fartcoin. No point looking at this. No point looking at this. Dots. What about you? This is something I gave, I believe, in my own place. I think I might give it here. I would have released it in my video, right? So you guys would have seen it if you watched the video at the end of the day. But dot, yeah, very beautiful entry at this area here. Again, just like Aptos, this is turning to resistance for now. But hopefully we get a reclaim. If we get a reclaim, I think this time around, this sense. This dot looks just like Aptos, which is crazy. So I think dot and Aptos are going to run hand in hand this cycle. This next part of the cycle anyway, right? But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, dot, you know, above that, again, great. You have the PRZ. Tara, now this is one I keep mentioning just because of how strong it looks, right? Again, this was part of the original harmonic setup video from September. We have completed M shape. That's a bat. 886 has been hit, right? And off that, you've hit your T1. You've done a type 2, so you have a successful type 2 return. At every single point you hit the PRZ as well, aggressive sellers are absorbed. That's a good sign, right? Sellers are not rewarded, buyers are rewarded, right? And now what you've done is you're refusing to even come back down. You keep staying above this box, right? So as long as you stay above this box, to be honest, you've got a very, very manageable. You're not gonna, okay, bear in mind now, okay, this is a low cap, okay? Like Tara, you might as well call it shitcoin vaporware for now. So position accordingly. Don't put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to things like this. But Tara is very, very manageable, right? Especially again if you don't go all in straight away. So that's Tara. What else? Let's look at Nia. Yeah, Nia, you're turning the godly 786 to resistance. We need that to reclaim. Otherwise, look, 786, 1.272. That is a butterfly. That is a butterfly on Nia, right? So again, you reclaim this. That's gonna be a beautiful smiley face. You can try and take a really nice play to the upside on this. Okay, so Nia again. Nia looks good. Nia looks really, really good. Again, I'll wait for a reclaim of 2.689. Okay, wait for a reclaim of the Carly. Wait for this. Because right now you're at resistance. There's no point. Either wait for like something like this or wait for this. No point entering at no edge, right? Last but not least, Pepe. 886 on Pepe. So the macro shark is there. You're above it. As long as you're above it, this play is still valid. You can go for this trade. Okay, something like this on Pepe. Everything's on the screen. This is a more like scalp to swing mindset trade, right? Which is why I've gone with tight stop losses instead of trying to consider the whole range. But yeah, you know, some harmonics. Let's look at some memes. Toshi went back to very key. This thing ran like really, really hard last cycle, right? So this one was a nice one to get into. Right now, what you've done is again 12 months. Your area of resistance on the 12 months, you flipped to support basically, because even on the weekly, right, you see what was on support, turn to resistance, flip back into support, weekly buy zone filled, buy seller zone, sorry. So next you'd either look for one more stab at the lows, right? Maybe you go and hit the trend line, something like this. Yeah, so maybe you see something, come on man, you see something like this. You know what, let's do that on the daily. I think that'll be better on the daily. There. Either you see one more tap into the trend line, and that's a very, very beautiful bid if you get it, or you get some sort of like, you know, double bottom, one sort of raid down here, and you know, something like this. Either right now you wouldn't bid this, you'd bid this at a flip now, or you'd bid this at the lows, right? Again, you don't enter a range mid. Okay, this is your current range. You don't enter a range mid. Nah. Not unless you know for a fact the range mid is support, and then you can put local stop losses around the range mid, right? But if you're looking at this as a range, you know, range lows is for longs, range highs is for shorts, basically. Right? That's Toshi. Toshi looks good. That's beautiful structure, right? Even on the higher time frame, yes, you had a big sell-off, but high-low was maintained. Right? That could very easily send this thing higher in the future. So that's Toshi. What about Bonk? Let's take a look at this. Just looking at it. Yeah, the reason I was looking at this, Bonk had a ABC 382. You've hit your 2.24 on Bonk, right? Huge aggressive selling going on, but the aggressive sellers have not been rewarded on Bonk. You've hit your yearly level, 2024 12-month macro read buy zone low, and you've SFP'd it, right? So for now, it's a hold. You've raided all these lows. So unless you're looking for like a weekly fair value gap fill, I think that's it for Bonk, right? If you do lose it, however, then of course you have a weekly fair value gap right over here. There. And the mid of that weekly fair value lines up with the D point of the ABCD, right? So if you lose this level, lower, but if you're staying above it, honestly, I think you go higher. So what I'd do here is, I don't know why that shifted. Let me change this. You had a daily fair value gap that is currently acting as resistance, right? So this is looking very similar, if you notice, to Bitcoin. Either you flip the daily fair value gap into support and you go higher, Or, I mean, that was too short. It's a bit too late now. You had the move. Either you just wait for like something like that to happen, and then you buy here, right? Or you wait for that. But bonk is another one that if you flip that, you know, you're gonna be catching that move to the upside. Right, so that'll be a quick little scalp trade you can take on bonk. Shitters with potential. Now this is just a collection of some coins that I saw being shilled by some big accounts, right? So something called banana. Don't really know what it is. Don't know why it's being shilled, but aggressive selling going on. You know, you've hit very, very key levels. It's held, sure. So maybe if you get like a pullback, right, you get like a drop back down towards this area and you see something like this, then it'd be like a good place to buy maybe. I don't know what banana does, right? I think it's like a liquidity provider. I'm not sure at all. I just saw it being showed by some big accounts, right? Which is why I was looking at the chart. Auction. This one, someone requested this. Yeah, now this was originally in my harmonic setup video, right? That's where the Garley 786, the 1.618 is coming from. And then someone asked me to do an update on this in Unity, right? And then I told you, right, I'm going to be looking at the deep Garley for this. Just wanted to update this. I put this on my Twitter. Got a fat trade if anyone did actually manage to enter that on auction, right? That was a 5x swing long. $8.59 was the entry. Basically, as soon as you saw a deep Garley being held, right, you enter. That'll get to an insane move up on auction, right? So I exited at 35.59, and this one was, I've been really busy recently. I couldn't stream, of course. I couldn't make a new YouTube video, but this is a short I gave to my group saying, look, we've hit the PRZ, look for signs of distribution, and then catch the short. So I did catch, I'm in a hedge short down. So as long as this is now distributing, we could probably see some lower prices. Wait for a macro high low to come in, and then you can size up on this again at some point in the future, probably. Right, but this is auction. We have hit a deep crab, and it's not a deep crab, sorry. We've hit a normal crab. Our deep crab is 886. This is a normal crab. Exactly, right? Perfectly yearly level confluence, and you've just topped out for now. But that is a high low, right? This could very easily spike you up once more. Okay. So that is auction, right there. Yeah, they only mentioned it because someone in Unity asked me to update this, right, after the harmony setup video, and the last update we did was, okay, you know, you got in, we took some profits, you got stop tower break even, and then you went lower. So then I was saying, look, okay, you might go lower, but the deep Garley is your next thing, 886, right? And if the deep Garley holds, and you happen to reclaim this in the future, which is what we said word for word, because you guys know my smiley face obsession, you're going to have a smiley, a cumulative structure. That's literally what happened to the T, right? Initial support, radon liquidity that hit the deep Garley, reconfirmation of your original Garley as support / yearly levels, 2 weeks straight of just solid buying pressure after that until you hit your normal crab target, right? So now if you get any sort of pullback towards this area, it's a bid, right? Because now you're just looking for higher lows to come in, basically. If higher lows come in, it's a bid. But if not, it doesn't hit any higher lows, so on and so forth, then you know, this probably just goes up, and maybe we get a type 2 return, some sort of distribution. If you get inverted smiley face on the higher time frame, then you get you'll be able to cut a bigger position, like swing star short down towards those levels if we were to get that instead. Right now we don't have the inverted smiley face distribution, right? We only have SFP distribution. If you take a look, many attempts from buyers to get above, not a single kind of body close above. That is distribution at its finest, right? So that is auction. Something to keep an eye on for sure. I think this will pick up some volatility. NPC, this is one that guy Wish shows a lot. I don't know why, but I'm just keeping like I said, I'm just keeping an eye on charts that these big accounts are shilling in case, like, you know, we do happen to catch something, right? And then if you get into these early enough, like, just these big accounts shilling can give you, like, you know, they're doing the work for you. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to rate comments, right? They're just doing everything, and then the people pile on later on. But I honestly don't really see much yet. Don't see anything in terms of wave structure, anything at all. Maybe in terms of macro fib retracement. Yeah, so you've hit your front run. So I'd want to get above this, right, before taking any sort of plays. The 886, 87 zone. Above that, you can try and play this towards the golden pocket again, and then we can reevaluate from there. But below this, nah. But above this, yes. Okay. More for now. This isn't a shitter. I'm not gonna call this a shitter. These are actual use cases now. So if I was to go over here and I was to turn some of these on, right, there we go. PRZ. You're currently at a shark 1.618 886 area, and very similarly to everything else we've been looking at, right? If you go to the daily, what you have above you is a daily fair value gap, right? And the bottom, that's what we're using as resistance. So locally speaking, your resistance is this. If I was to do this and current cycle, right? So if you get a flip of this, you can try and catch a trade, like lower time frame trade towards the high of this box. But for a macro swing, I just size up as this gets flipped into support and then look for that break up higher, right? This one is both Morpho and Aero, which is another one I'm going to go over today. They're both Coinbase plays, right? So they were in the master list. We've gone over them before. I've just been waiting for these to actually die down. There hasn't been a buying opportunity when they've been going and making higher highs and higher lows only. But now they're beginning a cool off. I do want to try and position myself. So we've hit a shark 1.618. The 86 is just below, right? This is from internal shark. This one right here. If you lose that, then the next key area I see is, okay, you've got one order block there at the mid somewhere, but ultimately I'd want that macro 886 of the shark and, you know, the 1.13 of the shark. That'd be a nice area to get in, right? Plus, like I was saying, there is this daily order block over here as well that I'm going to mark out. Boom. Perfect. 3 key areas. You lose this, you lose this, that. Okay, so just keep this one in your radar. For now, flip the white box minimum to try and get into this, okay? Not white box, this cluster here. Flip that minimum into support to try and play this above. Just be aware you have a daily fair value gap above you, so you could flip lower time frame, go up, chop, and then have one more drop. Right? That's very possible. But that is Morpho. Aero being the other one. Now this is all base tokens, right? Coinbase. Simple range play, right? This looks like Aptos. Compared to Aptos, if I was to do this, if I was to go here, I was to go on focus, just take a look at it, right? What Aptos is doing. This looks very, very similar. Just range bound, right? So if you get a rate of range loads, especially, like I love this. I'm buying this, right? Try and play this up, even from here to here. Not even talking new highs, we're talking just range highs, right? That is a 500% pump, and obviously I think base is of course set to do well. Lots of eyes are gonna be like, basically gonna be set to do well over the coming future, right? So for now, that's still my thesis. Therefore, this is something I'd get into. Especially if I go like swing this low leverage, I'd get in. Spot low leverage swing doesn't matter. Down at these key areas, like I'd rate it'd be beautiful. Either that or you wait till this reclaims. Of course, you guys know by now, right? Don't enter middle of nowhere. Do everything you do around significant levels. Entries, invalidations, everything should be around significant levels. Right now, not at a significant level. Significant level is here and here. Be as precise as you can. Be deliberate. Okay. And then last but not least, this stands for can't wait to short, right? I need to manage this a bit better, but for now, I'm just gonna put coins in here. Coins that do numbers. If the market does carry on going to the upside, we get a crazy alt season. Just gonna be looking for coins to catch some big fat shorts on. OM is definitely gonna be one of them. Can't wait to short this shit. Nothing much to say here. No entries given, right? Uni are very, very good areas, very, very deep. 87886, basically back at original entries, to be honest, right? If you wanted to get in, but if you wanted to get into a DeFi project, I'd honestly choose Cetus over Uni in my opinion, just because it's newer. You know what I mean? Kusama, I'm looking at this. We caught a really nice play on this in 2023. For those of you that are a bit OGs, do you remember? But the reason I'm looking at this is because this is now included for God knows what reason, I'm not sure. This is included in the Coin 50 index, ETF, right? The Coin 50 index, sorry, yeah, the basket. Kusama's in there for some reason, and it's, aggressive selling. It's at the low, so I thought might as well take a look at it. That's it, right? So again, Kusama, very low risk buy. Like if it's going to be included in Coinbase 50, I'm guessing they know something, or they think this is going to do well. They think it's going to be a solid investment. Whatever reason, like I think eventually this will get a reaction price up to the upside. Right, especially if people start buying Coin 50, obviously, that's going to put bidding pressure on this. So, Kusama's one to watch. Plume, this one went a bit bonkers. I've not talked to you guys about this one before, to be honest. This is a fairly new project. I kind of entered this. This was a play I entered for myself, but now that it's doing something very interesting, right? What it's doing is, of course, flipping a resistance on the daily. What the hell was that? It's flipping resistance into support, right? If the daily flip is successful, for example, you can try and look for lower time frame to higher time frame plays. The reason I'm saying that is because now many times I've seen a couple successful retests on the daily just for the weekly to fail. So you're going to space your bits out. Don't go all in just based off the daily, right? But if this happens, if this flip is successful, your next target is higher. Daily means 1 to 4 hour price action entry model. So on the 1 hour, your entry model is already passed, right? Maybe you get another one on the 4 hours, like a retest here, something like this. If you do get that, again, lower time, 50-minute entry models or something, lower time frame to higher time frame entry models to try and play this to the upside. Okay, they got news, they're partnering up with some finance. I forget if it was BlackRock or not, but you know, one of these was, right? There was a BlackRock announcement, there was a pairing announcement with other financing projects, which is the reason for the huge move up. Plus, it's literally just been accumulating with a smiley face, right? Double bottom send. Structure's been really, really clean. But yeah, that's about it for now, right? Yeah, these other ones I'm not going to look at. These are some shit coins I've been compiling together, hearing different people talk about it, right? And just looking at, okay, you know, I didn't know about this project before, looks interesting, I'm just going to be keeping an eye on them, sort of deal. So for example, something like this, do we even have anything for now? 0.5, 2.0 slightly lower, right? So if you get that, for example, on movement protocol, you know, might be a bid, right? That's a bullish wave structure at the end of the day. Cow protocol is here. Again, I've not heard of some of these, but you know, people I trust, they're talking to these about me, with me. Sorry, not about. They're talking about this with me. So I'm just keeping an eye on them. That's all. Yeah, I can see why, right? It's like at the end of the day, you've had accumulation, you're having expansion. It's gonna very easily go higher if this holds. So I'll be keeping an eye on these for sure. Alright, everything deep retracements. Yeah. Yeah, we shall see, right? We shall see. But that is pretty much everything I wanted to go over today, guys, right? I'm sure there's like, you know, way more also we can look at, but it's been a solid 2 hours. We can look at more next session if you guys like, you know, if there's any coins you want me to look at, just, you know, ping me in chat. I'll take a look at it when I get the chance. But yeah, there's loads of coins, don't get it twisted. There's loads that are in good areas, right? It's not like these are the only ones. You can look at XRP. I think that's gonna go a bit lower, but Woo, right? We can take a look at Woo. Was Woo done? Again, that's very close to a 786, right? So if it's very close to a 786, we're looking for a 1.272. Yes, we're not there yet, but we're close, right? We're close. That's a 1.13 at the end of the day, which is a valid extension, right? It's a very, very valid extension. And in fact, if we go to the daily on Woo, is there any chance of putting a alternate bat in on this? Not by the looks of things. It's all right. Yeah, but you know, coins like this, like, you know, all you have to do is go and reclaim some key area. You'll be able to catch some longs, right? That's it. TIA, another one, right? We've literally hit all the targets for TIA now. This is right here a demand zone from history, right? Take a look what we have. We have demand zone from history. We have very clear accumulation right over here. There we go. Would that be, or would you make it higher? I'd personally do it like that. Yeah, we have very clear accumulation, right? So if this is now, let's say if this happens to be the distribution phase, right, of your AMD model, then if you ever reclaim basically that yellow fib level in the future, anywhere between 393 to 448, you're going to be on your expansion phase. And again, if you go to the expansion phase, you are going to be targeting higher prices. Right, just waiting for the reclaim. So, you know, external liquidity here, there's external here. So something like this seems like a feasible target on TR. It could go way higher, but something like that for a lower high seems feasible, right? So, you know, there's loads of coins to keep an eye on. Okay, guys. In fact, yeah, you've hit a shock. You've hit a shock. I just realized I didn't have alerts for this. You've hit a shock, right? This is beautiful stuff. Liquidity pocket, shock, right? You have reasons to be in this, right? Very, very good reasons to be in this. Right, you at least start a position and size up if you reclaim that very important support in the future, so on and so forth. But yeah, there's loads of coins, guys. Don't get it twisted. Right, there's loads and loads of coins. We just have to, you know, you just have to make sure you don't get chopped out. That's it. Which is why I'm saying don't go all in at once. Okay, you have more time than you think. Always. The dog shit. This is really weak. Marvia, on the other hand, getting some sort of reaction. Straight back to Shark 2.24 for the rejection, right? It's what it is. So now if Marvia gives you this, pull back to, let's say, 40 cents, and then it's actually support, I think it'd be really nice to buy that, okay? Or you flip this into support, I think it's worth bidding. So that's another one. You know what? Let me add that. Gaming token. So there's loads, right? There's absolutely loads that you can look at. IMX. Lost everything. You add the lows, basically. I wouldn't be. I think there's better projects to get into than that, to be honest. But yeah, yeah. There's absolutely a shit ton. You can look at Sonic, right? You can if you look at FTM, you can look at Sonic, the rebrand. That's another one you can look at. H bar, ICX, lows, H bar, right? Maintaining structure. You just want a high low to come in. Maybe you take out the liquidity pocket. But you just go find your key levels, right? You can listen to me. You can listen to the analyst, whatever. Just get your key levels down for whatever projects it is you're interested in, right? Set your alerts up, and like I said, just main thing, just don't lose like 50% of your portfolio before we even make the move up. That's the important thing. Okay. Um, oh, we are getting a sell-off. One sec. Oh, Jesus Christ, that is volatile. Okay, I'm guessing New York Open somewhere around here. Holy shit, 101 sells versus 81 buys, 113 sells, 128 buys, a lot of volatility. 117 sells, 117 buys, that's crazy. 26, yeah, okay. Well, there's no initiation, there's no absorption yet. We take a look. Give me the 3 minutes. Come on. Okay, let's take a look. Do you know what? Let's that'll be easier to see. Let's go on the 15 for now. Okay, so yeah, aggressive selling going on. You have imbalances above you. Yeah, you gotta flip these imbalances into the support, otherwise we might get that one more wick down. You're losing imbalances to the upside. You lose that, you turn this to resistance. It's 79k, in my opinion. 77. We've got reasons for lower, yeah, but loads of aggressive selling is going on currently. If the buyers can absorb them, we're fine. If they can't, we're screwed. Yeah, aggressive selling, you can see it down to the next cluster. Here, if you lose this cluster, then we're talking lower, but if this holds, you might be able to catch a scalp up to the upside, which is what we're doing after I exit here now, basically seeing if I can scalp some of this. Okay, but yeah, guys, so that's going to be it from me. Okay, that's going to be it from me. Can you do you guys, I'm guessing you can still see my screen. Yeah, that's fine. Imagine my screen had gone off or something, that'd be crazy. Someone asked for Ondo. Yeah, sure, I'll quickly do Ondo for you. Let's take a look. We've already gone over this, but basically you have 3 distinct zones on Ondo. Okay, the 3 zones on Ondo, I want you to treat them like separate zones are on the screen. Take a screenshot, do whatever you want. Just watch for price action around those levels. That's it. Right? If you lose one, cut it until you either reclaim or until you get to the next one. That's it. Right? And then rinse and repeat. But yeah, you have 3 distinct PRZs at the old consolidation range for Ondo. That's it. That's just the order flow feature built into TradingView, bro. Okay, but yeah, guys. So that's gonna be it from me. Thank you all for your time. Right? If anyone's interested in learning further about the way I trade, want to be a bit closer to me from my own group where I'm mostly active, then just reach out to me. Otherwise, just catch me in my weekly streams, catch me on my YouTube, and I'll talk to you guys soon next week. Yeah, I'll put this on YouTube ASAP. Yeah, you too. Can I look at Aptos? I've already looked at it once, but I'll take a quick look at it for you again. There. We need to reclaim this. Right now we're at resistance. Reclaim this for higher, basically range highs. If you turn this into resistance, I'll be looking for a raid before reclaim on Aptos, Sisyphus. Yeah, alright, well, yeah, I gotta go now, so I'll catch you guys in a bit. Yeah, I'll stop the recording here as well.